Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Happy Libations Friday. Loosey-goosey edition of the program. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. Matthew is directing if you're watching the YouTube feed. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. It's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember this. We got you covered. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the show. Right after it's over, it's up. Go there, find it, listen at your leisure to the podcast. Brought to you by our great podcast sponsor with limited commercial interruption. CarltonDean.com when I need to know about ways to make some money in commercial real estate, income-producing properties, those kinds of things. Go to CarltonDean.com. Or I just give him a call because he's a buddy of mine. You can email me if you like, jcs at 97.espnradio.com. You can find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. I think we've covered it. Yes? Yes.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds good to me, too. It's loosey. It's goosey. It's Friday. And Florida State's not playing baseball, oddly enough. They will be tomorrow. Remember, this is a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. It is of critical importance, and I mean that very seriously. It's hard to imagine, but we've arrived at a place where Florida State, frankly, needs to win this series and as many series as possible moving forward, although it seems unlikely that they will, given the way they've played up to this point, because they are in real jeopardy. This is a thing, a real thing. They are in real jeopardy of not making the postseason. I've never, ever said that before on the Jeff Cameron Show. I've never had to say it before. It's never been close to being a reality. But that is their reality currently. And if you don't know, Clemson's really good, one of the best teams in the country. And the task at hand is monumental for Florida State to not only win this series, but win subsequent series against the likes of Virginia and Wake and Miami on the road. And obviously at the end of the year, Louisville on the road. There are a lot of losses lying in wait there for a team that, if they continue to perform as they have, will lose the majority of the remaining series.
I think the interesting thing is, you think about what do you need to do to go on that run? And typically there's one empirical answer. The bats need to get hot or the arms need to get right. The bullpen needs to not blow it, routinely. You need to pick up the baseball. But honestly, with this group, you need to just tighten up across the board. That's the frustrating thing here. There have been nights when you hit, but you can't pitch. There have been nights where you don't hit, but you hit just enough, and then you can't close it out in the bullpen. There have been nights where you got base running errors, or there's a weekend where you have 11 errors in less than 24 hours. It's just kind of all over the map. So it's hard. Usually when a team is slumping, you say they need to do this. In September last year for the football program, the defense needs to get better. I think the defense might need to tighten up a little bit.
You think we had a
Sure.
pretty obvious finger to point towards?
But it's just, this is like a thread that's connected to five other. And if you're trying to pull one and the other ones tighten up and you don't know what to do. So for us, it's you watch and you hope that across the board, there's just better baseball.
Yeah, and the reason you feel somewhat helpless that it's coming is that they've played 34 games. I mean, we aren't early in a year anymore. We're well past the point where programs, teams start to get it together and begin to show you glimpses that they're coming out of whatever funk they're in, or you get guys back from injury, whatever it might be. They've had everything they need to have happen, and they just aren't winning games. Now, again, lineup consistency's not there. I think 11 probably, Mike Martin that is, probably regrets kind of the press conference that he gave the other night, in which one of the first things he brings up are all the injuries and then says, I should probably stop talking about this because they'll be seen as excuses. Obviously, he's very aware of the situation they're in, and he's very aware of the pressure that is now mounting on them to get this turned around. And I find it really removing any fandom here, Tom, just talking objectively about the situation. We noted yesterday, clearly this has not been a well-coached team this year. There's no getting around that. They haven't been for a lot of reasons. And what I mean is there's not just one thing you could point to and say, well, they don't do this well, and gosh, I would wish the coaches would get this worked out, or maybe they just don't have the players for this. They do a lot of things poorly, and they haven't responded real well, and all that has to point back to the coach. But I wonder if they're even capable. We keep saying they got to play better. Well, maybe they can't. Maybe this group, as currently comprised, just isn't going to play better.
That's befuddling, though, given the talent level.
It is, but how many games do you got to play before you just say they suck? At some
A fair counter question.
You know what I mean? At
Yeah,
some point you do. Like, we've all watched in Major League Baseball teams. There have been teams that were well thought of coming into a season, and you look at their roster and you say, well, if they perform to the back of their baseball card and the pitching staff gets a little bit better, but remember they added this guy, and all projections say they should win at minimum 88 games, make the playoffs, whatever it might be. And they go out there and they lose 100 ball games, and you just can't fathom it unless you're a fan of that team. And then you watch it, and usually it's a combination of things. Guys have their worst year of their career, couple of injuries here or there. So you lose every possible 50-50 situation. You lose all your one-run games, that kind of stuff.
It seems like the rotations that are lining up against you, that you're facing top
Sure.
3 pitchers every
time.
every series.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of a team like that, you watch it and you're like, it's just not going to happen. But it takes the longest for you to ever admit it if you went into that year and those players were good and the backs of those baseball cards read in a way that gave you legitimate reasons to believe that that team could be, or if they just followed a pattern of growth, the way that a 25, 26, 27, 28-year-old does, historically speaking, from a numbers standpoint. You can look at a left fielder, and if he's a plus player, you could say, well, he's 25 now. This is what he's hitting. We're likely going to see his power increase by the time he's 28, whatever it might be. At some point, though, in those lost years, it's always difficult. I don't know if it's the All-Star break or when it is that you finally go, yeah, they're not going to win 80 games. They're going to be lucky not to lose 100. This team's terrible, and I just have to grow up and accept the fact that they're not going anywhere. And you're always careful, especially in baseball, not to have knee-jerk reactions to poor starts, difficult stretches, especially in long seasons. And in its own way, college baseball is a long season. It's not an MLB season, but it's a long season. So if you start 10-10 through 20 games, you want to be careful that you're not hitting the panic button. Although usually you've started to see enough evidence that, 10-10, huh? This team's not playing nearly as well as I thought they would. Maybe they'll get it together. I don't know the magic number. What, have they played 34 games? When do you just say they're not good enough? They're not going to play. They're not going to come out of it.
Well, you get swept this weekend. You can certainly say that.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm building towards. This weekend is really critical. They got to win this series. It's a home series against a very, very good team. And the reason that's important isn't just because, obviously, you need to win some baseball games. That's self-evident. But who you beat matters, too. And if you are able to beat a Clemson and say you're borderline, say you're one of those teams that is really struggling to get a good look from the committee. I know that's odd to say. It'd be nice to have a series win or two over a good team. They don't have one.
Yeah, out of curiosity, the Carlton move has been a failure, first of all. And I heard you guys
they're going back. They're getting rid of that.
They're going back, but they're going to use him still out of the bullpen or whatever.
That's what they say.
Okay, wouldn't you at this point punt on midweek games, knowing that making the ACC tournament is more important here than maybe beating Stetson on a random Tuesday?
When you say punt, you just start random folks to get them experience?
On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, worry about what you got to worry about there with Johnny Holstaff and see if the bats can carry the day. But, shouldn't your weekend rotation be Carlton, Holton, Sands at this point, or Parrish in the third spot? Because they've been kind of, the same statistically speaking.
I think I'd go Holton, Carlton.
Sure. Yeah. But shouldn't he be a part of the weekend rotation
Yes.
at this point? Because you need ACC victories. You need victories over those teams with good RPIs. I don't care if Stetson's got a good RPI. You need wins over conference foes so you can go to the ACC tournament. And so you can give yourself a really good chance through the ACC standings to where at least the committee would say, all right, well, you know what? They scuffled for a while, but they did rebound in a really, really good conference. And so therefore they're going to be in regional play. It's been a complete waste of his arm and his talent this year.
They blew it.
The button didn't work.
No, they blew it. And they haven't had opportunities for him to come in and utilize that role and play that role well. I mean, because a lot of their wins have been blowout wins.
And even if they did, they didn't go to him in the second or third inning when the starter failed. You know what I mean? What are you saving him for?
Yeah.
He can give you 5 or 6 innings on a Tuesday.
Yeah. I would have used him the other night against Florida.
That's what I'm saying.
They brought him in the what was it, the 8th inning?
What was it, 10? Yeah.
10-5.
Yeah. That's great. He's in there for that.
Yeah, you got you 6 outs in a game. You're trailing 10-5.
And he's only the guy who shut out the Gators on the road in Gainesville last year, but you don't want to bring him in when Carp fails again?
It made no sense.
Come on, man.
Rod wrote a good article about this that I should note in terms of what Florida State might need to do to get in. And he was talking about the idea of Florida State. Well, first of all, I've mentioned to you that it's crazy to me to say the words aloud that Florida State could miss the playoffs, the postseason, for the first time in 38 years. That's a real thing. That's unimaginable. Almost as long as I've been alive, they've gone to the playoffs. Longer than 8 years, longer than you've been alive. You've never known them not to. It's nuts. And I was too young to know. So you look at them and you look at the field of 64. North Carolina, and again, as a testament to the fact that Martin has put together great teams year in and year out, we don't know what this looks like. But think about a program like North Carolina. Just a year ago, they didn't make it. I don't think I even knew that. I don't think I was paying attention to that. I just assumed Carolina's at a place now in their program with consistency that's impossible because good programs make the postseason. But you know what else? Good programs, all of them, Texas, LSU, all of them not named Florida State or Miami, have had seasons in the last 10 years that didn't make the postseason. Well, sometimes you got to go further back than 10 years. But it's amazing, right? So here's the deal. That Carolina team that didn't make it, they went 34-21. 34-21 in the regular season. You would think that might be good enough to get it done. They missed out on the ACC tournament because they went 13-17 in conference, to make your point.
That's what I'm saying.
So Florida State is currently sub 500 in conference. They're 7-8 in the ACC.
You got to go for broke with your best arms. And if that means that Carp is available out of the bullpen and first sign of trouble he's out instead of starting him on a Tuesday, you got to do that.
I worry that he's hurt. Something's not right. I don't know what happened. I mean, he was untouchable, and now he's terrible. By the way, Clemson's RPI is 4. We play Virginia. Their RPI is 7. We play Wake Forest. Their RPI is 11. We play Louisville. Their RPI is 6. My man, it is not only unlikely that they'll get this done, it seems very probable that they will not win those series. Virginia 7, Clemson 4, Wake 11, Louisville 6. I mean, that's what's so disappointing about the 7-8 ACC record. You haven't played the good teams yet. That starts tomorrow.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
For 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hard-working specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Welcome to Staples.
Staples guy, I have my own business, so I wear lots of hats. Now I'm wearing my office manager hat because I need supplies.
Well, Staples has everything you need.
Now I'm putting on my CFO hat because I can't overspend.
And you won't. Right now, 10 ream cases of Staples multi-purpose paper are just $19.99.
All my hats and I would like to thank you.
They are welcome.
Staples, everything you need for business at great prices. And now 10 ream cases of Staples multi-purpose paper are just $19.99. In-store only, limit 2 per customer, plus tax where applicable. Ends 4/15/17.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
This Easter, I'm putting all of my eggs into one basket, my Walgreens basket, because Walgreens has great deals on everything I need for Easter, all in one place. It's super easy. They're right around the corner with small gifts, toys, plastic eggs, gift cards, and all my favorite Easter candy like Starburst jelly beans and Cadbury eggs. I don't know where the Easter Bunny gets her baskets, but mine are definitely coming from Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Now through the 15th, select Starburst jelly beans are 2 for $4 or $2.99 each with card.
At Carrabba's Italian Grill, we're uncorking our new Food and Wine Festival menu, which celebrates the perfect pairing of Italian dishes with wines from around the world. Now you can taste 3 different wines in one of our new wine flights, with a free small plate like meatballs and ricotta, starting at only $9.99. So head to Carrabba's to try our new Food and Wine Festival menu, featuring wine flights and a free small plate. Hurry in today for this limited time menu. Carrabba's, Italian worth talking about.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 888-789-5042. 888-789-5042, 888-789-5042, 888-789-5042.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Happy Libations Friday. This is crazy. After 6 days of jury deliberations, former New England Patriot tight end Aaron Hernandez was found not guilty in a double murder trial of 2 men, Daniel De Abreu and Sefero Furtado, in a July 2012 drive-by shooting. Hernandez, the former Gator, 27, is serving life in prison without the possibility of parole in a Massachusetts prison after he was found guilty, of course, of killing Odin Lloyd in 2013. Lloyd was dating the sister of Hernandez's fiancée at the time. Hernandez, the former Gator fiancée at the time. Prosecutors argued that the University of Florida star and his friend Alexander Bradley actually shot the 2 men over a drug deal. Bradley, who is currently in prison for shooting up a nightclub in Hartford, Connecticut, was the prosecutor's star witness and said that the University of Florida star became upset and shot the men because he felt disrespected after one of them bumped into Aaron Hernandez, who played football at Florida, and spilled his drink. The defense attorneys for the former Gator rested their case just this past Wednesday. So good news for convicted murderer and former Gator Aaron Hernandez. They are not adding to the numerous murders on his ledger But the former Gator does have to remain in prison. He will not get the opportunity to visit his alma mater, the University of Florida, anytime soon. So there's that.
I have thought about just hitting the music and making it a short segment.
It would have worked.
It would have.
So how about that? Gator great Aaron Hernandez found not guilty in a double murder trial of two men. Again, already having been convicted not all that long after his playing days at the University of Florida for murder. But top 1%, you know?
Serious question. If he played at Miami, do you think it would be talked about more that he played at Miami than if he played at Florida?
Probably.
I think it would have, right?
Yeah.
How about if he played here? Think it would be a bigger story?
Perhaps. I think maybe the problem with Aaron Hernandez, former Gator Aaron Hernandez, is that he was one of almost 40 guys that got arrested under Urban Meyer's time there. And so he got lost in the shuffle with all the heinous crime that was being committed under Urban Meyer's watch. And, I don't know.
When was Urban asked about that at any point?
And he got chippy. He did get asked about it, and he got chippy.
Was he ever asked by the people up in Bristol when they employed him? Did Rinaldi ever sit down with him and ask him, what's happening to young athletes today that they run afoul of the law? No? That ever happened?
You know, it bothered me that he did decide, if you recall, to weigh in at some point on Jameis's situation. Of course, Jameis was never charged with a crime.
Whoa, now I did not know he weighed in on that situation.
Yeah, he said he would not have played him if he had made the mistakes off the field that he was accused of making.
Oh, what did you try to do, man? First about the baseball team, and then this segment. Libations Friday are supposed to be happy days.
Well, this is a happy day in the sense that we are able to, again, shine a light on the hypocrisy of ESPN and Urban Meyer while at the University of Florida, and Urban Meyer in general, just on a day-to-day basis. Faking heart attacks, looking the other way, basically employing murderers.
Declaring that his top priority was spending time with his daughter.
And then taking a job with ESPN and then getting another coaching job. Lying about a dream he had in which Jesus told him that Matt Elam should play football at the University of Florida and then leaving the University of Florida.
Maybe it was Jesus, Aaron Hernandez's friend.
Former Gator Aaron Hernandez, right?
Well, of course. That's why he'd be playing in Florida.
The University of Florida star.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. That was quite the crew. Imagine Tebow, Jesus-like as he is, trying to corral guys like Aaron Hernandez and the other 30 criminals that were playing at the time under Urban Meyer. That's nuts.
Surely he was trying to save them.
Without question. It wasn't that their ability helped lead them to victory on the field of play.
No, it was more important that he reached them
that
at
their
a very
lives
personal
be
level.
Turned around. Yeah. So there it is again. Prosecutors had argued that the former Gator...
Does he wait for them to go to prisons before he speaks to them?
You know, that story, all jokes aside, yesterday actually caused a kind of a jolt when I first read this clown show. So this guy, if you go, you can find the footage, yesterday was in court, and his daughter was brought into court, and he's looking back and smiling and blowing her kisses, and they're leading him away, and he says, "Daddy loves you." And I thought, you piece of... So you have a kid, and that's what you do. Yeah, she's going to grow up without you, but you love her. Oh, dearly.
See, but the crazy thing is, if this were an HBO series, we'd be rooting for the Aaron Hernandez character because they would humanize him and they'd write about it so effectively that we'd say, well, this guy's a gangster.
Maybe.
We love Tony Soprano.
We did. But there was honor amongst thieves in that situation. They lived by a code, and it was a community of people who all lived under that banner. This was a rogue murderer.
What if Tony Soprano was the star left tackle of the New York Giants?
No, if he didn't abide by a certain code that everybody else agreed to that was around him and a part of, then we wouldn't. See, we only do that because, yes, they do a great job of writing him, but because it's understood that the people he's killing or dealing with in that world are all people that are part of the criminal underworld, and they already understand the code. You don't pay, you got to go. If you try to call it in, you got to go. There's a lot of reasons why, right? It's not right. He's still a homicidal maniac. But there's a shared agreed upon code. So you're like, well, everybody's
But what about poor Meadow and Anthony as they arrive in that final scene, and we're not certain exactly what happens, but if it is the way that it's implied to be, what about
obviously
them?
there are innocent victims if the guy is to be offed and they take out his family to boot. But you don't feel sorry for his wife because she knows exactly, Carmela knows exactly what he is.
Sure.
And she likes living in that house, doesn't she? She could have walked at any point.
Or she could have left with, what's his name with the ponytail?
Oh, yeah. Right.
Was it Sergio? What was that guy's name? I forget. I'd like it to be Sergio, whether or not that's actually true.
Fabrizio.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it was, something like that, yeah. It wasn't Febreze.
No. And Fabrizio is from The Godfather.
Oh, but it wasn't his name, something like that, too?
Could be. I like Sergio,
Remember
though.
the scene by the helicopter?
Oh,
and you're like,
he's got the propellers.
Oh, he's right there.
He's got a choice.
He's got a choice.
I
Yeah.
love a Carmela.
So anyway, I just thought I'd inform you of the former Florida great, University of Florida football star, Aaron Hernandez, being found not guilty on a double murder that he most certainly committed. But luckily, they did get him on the other life sentence for the murder that he committed against Odin Lloyd, and really made obvious. It's on video. You got the whole thing with the gun. You've got the gum. It's right around the corner from his house. My man, you got to do better than that.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Athlete of the Month on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Listen every Wednesday to hear our monthly winners. Check them out at Dale Earnhardt Jr., Buick, GMCCadillac.com.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
Commercial lawnmowers don't have odometers, but if they did, you might be surprised to see you could be mowing thousands of miles a year. That's why Gravely zero-turn mowers are built for the long haul. So when you're mowing the equivalent of Miami through Kentucky bluegrass country, all the way to Seattle, and back again every year, you can count on your Gravely zero-turn mower to get the job done, mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Zero money down and 0% interest with qualifying credit. Only at TNT Supercenter. Get your Gravely mower today.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
This is Mark, and he's a Scotts scientist. He's always working to make it easier for you to get a thick, lush lawn. Is your grass thin? Are dollarweed and clover creeping in? Mark's here to help with the #1 brand in the South, Scotts Turf Builder Bonus S Southern Weed and Feed. It has the right nutrients to green grass while killing weeds, all in one step. It's so easy it'll save your time and strengthen your grass. This is a Scotts yard. Pick up Scotts Bonus S today.
You're at Lowe's buying Choice Deck composite decking. You're at Lowe's buying Choice Deck because you don't always remember to wear your flip-flops. And stepping barefoot on a hot deck will instantly make you feel a sense of burning regret. Luckily, Lowe's is the only place to get Choice Deck with the new Cool Deck technology, which stays cool in hot weather and requires no sanding, staining, or painting. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Call 1-800-GO-LOWES for a free in-home consultation for your deck project.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The NBA playoffs start tomorrow. The defending champs tip off the postseason with Game 1 at home. The Cavaliers hosting the Pacers. The game is here on ESPN Radio starting at 2 Eastern. Coverage on ABC at 3 Eastern. And then starting at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow, a playoff tripleheader on ESPN. The Raptors host the Bucks. That's followed by the Grizzlies and Spurs in San Antonio. Then the Clippers and Jazz in Los Angeles. Clemson defensive lineman Scott Pagano will transfer to Oregon as a grad student. He'll be available to play in the fall. And the NCAA today passes a package of rule changes for college football recruiting. The new rules take effect in August. Recruits will now be able to take college visits starting in April of their junior year in high school, and schools will be limited to 25 scholarships per year.
Canadian Mist Whiskey. A splash of cola, a little crushed ice. It's so simple, but there's nothing better. A solo cup cocktail. It's how friends share a drink. Canadian Mist Whiskey. Simply together. Drink responsibly. Canadian Mist Blended Canadian Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So, rapid fire. We'll take the Celtics over the Bulls, right?
They split the season series.
You tell me when you disagree with me. You ready? So far, we're in agreement?
Yeah.
Cleveland over the Pacers. Raptors or Bucks? I'll take Raptors. Wizards, Hawks, good series. I'll take Washington.
Yeah, sure.
Warriors, Blazers, we both got Golden State in a landslide, probably sweep. San Antonio over the Grizz. We'll both take, I think, Houston over the Thunder.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we'll both take, actually, Clippers Jazz is a great series. I don't know who will be watching it, but it's a great series. I'll take the Clippers, but barely.
Jazz fans. Just Jazz fans.
Only Jazz fans.
No Clippers fans.
So there's your look. There you go. That's these first round games. But I will say this. I did laugh, and you pointed it out to me before we started the show today. I believe there was a line in a story about the NBA playoffs that 16 different fan bases holding out hope, and it all starts today with the NBA playoffs. And it should be noted that, of course, that's erroneous. There aren't 16 teams, fan bases thinking they have a chance. That's not true at all.
Everything that guy just says, bullshit.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's 2, maybe 3. Okay, I'll give you 4. That's it. The other 12, no shot in hell.
1 in the East, right? Or are you giving Boston some love?
Okay, here's what I'll do.
Ooh.
No,
all right.
We're only talking about fans having a realistic hope that their team could win an NBA championship. Or how about even just get to the NBA championship?
I was going to say, yeah, because even if Boston...
Yeah, because if they get there, they're not going to win.
If LeBron, blew out his knee getting off
right,
the bus
and
or
Boston
something...
wins.
Yeah.
Right, no. But I just say, with hope to get to the NBA Finals, you would say, obviously, the Cavs. Boston, legitimate hope to get to the NBA Finals. Now, we don't think it's going to happen, but I would say their fans could convince themselves they are the 1 seed after all.
They'd be wrong, but they could.
Right. That's it. Bulls fans are not. They know they're not going to the finals. Pacers fans sure as hell know they're not going to the finals. The Bucks aren't going to the finals. They're not. People forgot Milwaukee had a team, let alone that they made the playoffs.
Minnesota and Milwaukee, same thing.
The Raptors aren't going. The Wizards aren't going. The Hawks aren't going. The Blazers aren't going. Now, obviously, the Warriors fans think not only that they're going, but that they're going to avenge last year's loss. Spurs certainly legitimately think that they've got a chance to go. Fair enough. Grizzlies, no shot in hell. Okay. I mean, what are we up to? 2 right now?
Yes.
3? 3. We're up to 3.
Well, no.
I said San Antonio,
you're
Golden State.
Getting to the finals.
Boston.
So you're 4.
4. Okay, so I was wrong.
5.
There are 5. The Rockets.
Yes, because Houston does have a legitimate chance.
We're really stretching legitimate chance, but
more so than Boston does.
To get there?
Mm-hmm.
No. Boston has to beat 1 team to get
Houston's
there.
winning the NBA title, man.
Listen, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. Here's the thing. Think about it. Boston gets by Cleveland. There ain't nobody else there. The Grizzlies, excuse me, the Grizzlies. If the Rockets win, first of all, they have to beat the Thunder, which is hard enough.
They will.
They will.
Russ will have a triple-double.
He'll average 50. Yeah.
It'll go 5.
But, if you think like Spurs, Golden State, it's a tough road in the West.
It is. But I think Houston actually has something for those top 2 teams this year.
Clippers and Jazz, no chance in hell. Don't even bother to get your hopes up.
Wouldn't this be the funny year if the Clippers finally everybody put it together?
So it's 5, okay.
Yeah, 5 teams
5.
have hope to get to the finals. 4 have a hope to win. Or are you excluding Houston and saying merely 3 teams do, San Antonio, Golden State, and Cleveland in no particular order?
Well, the order would be Golden State, Cleveland, and San Antonio.
Okay. In that particular order.
You
would list 3 teams.
Yeah.
Precisely 3
Those
teams.
3 teams. That's it. And I want to be wrong. I think it was good for the NBA that Boston got the 1 seed. Maybe irrelevant, may not matter at all. I think Cleveland sent the message when they beat Boston in the Garden. I say the Garden. I'll always say the Garden.
Sure.
But when they beat Boston at the end of the year and then promptly turned around and lost, they didn't care once they sent their message. It doesn't matter if Cleveland's a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. They're kind of like, we don't really care
LeBron
what our
doesn't
seed
even,
is.
they
don't
don't usually get the 1 seed with LeBron anyway.
They don't really.
Where he's been.
They don't really care. So, but yeah, so that's interesting. I hope you're right about Houston, and obviously they've been a statistical joy to watch, and it would be fun.
Well, recall OKC was a surprise last year. They were that 3rd team in the West in the conversation, but we didn't really believe that they were going to give anybody a scare. And then
they should have won it.
Yes, and they're up 3-1 in the West Finals. And that would have been a hella NBA Finals. Even though we got a great one, that would have been really entertaining as well.
We did get a great one, and it's still hard to imagine a 3-1 series lead blown like that.
Back-to-back series.
It is crazy. I do think that, oddly enough, for whatever – and it was an important – in a way, if we're doing the all-time great discussion, it was an important championship for LeBron to win. Probably the most important besides the first.
Oh, easily.
Because that team, he's got good players around him, no doubt, but you're down 3-1 and you bring it home. Obviously, the sentimental value of that, bringing it home back to Cleveland, doing all those things for that community after it had been really left bereft of hope, is amazing. But I think 20, 30 years from now, we're going to look back at LeBron's career differently because of that title.
Sure. Well, you mentioned it this week, same kind of concept, that Sergio Garcia wins the Masters. Now all of a sudden his close calls are feathers in his cap.
In the cap.
Sure, and that LeBron, and let's ignore Miami just for a moment, but that LeBron won this title in Cleveland last year makes the finals appearance the year prior when it was only LeBron trying by himself to beat Golden State, and they were up 2-1, I think it was, and they should have been up 3-0 in that series.
Yeah.
And then the LeBron that carried the Cavs in his first iteration with the team
Which
that beat
is-
the Pistons by himself, and then they got, summarily dismissed by the Spurs in the finals.
Literally
But-
scored 20 straight points, more than 20 straight points on the Pistons. Yes.
But those two become incredibly important now in his legacy and
Yes,
their
they
feathers in the cap because he closed the deal in Cleveland, and he didn't do so with a super team. They had superstars, but it wasn't constructed the same way that Miami team was.
Before his prime, well, his prime is probably, I think, safely to say, is gone. He's relatively young because he came out of high school, but he's got a lot of basketball on those legs.
Including Olympics? Yeah.
Tons of basketball, right? But I was laughing. I've read this and I heard people talk about it, and, we look at Wes's usage rate, right? It would be fun to see what LeBron James' numbers would be if his usage rate was the same as Westbrook's. So if he decided, he convinced Cleveland, all right, I'm doing this. I'm going to hoist the vast majority of everything that we do here. I'm going to the rim. I'm taking the shots. Everything runs through me and me only. What those numbers would look like.
I think the only way he could do that is if he said, this is my final year. And so therefore,
and they said, okay,
I'm keeping the ball all year long, and you're going to have to rip it out of my hands. But you know what? I'm also going to distribute because I have incredible court vision.
Well,
it's just
right.
that, I'm going to score what? What do you think it would be?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Like Westbrook.
35, 12, and 10?
It'd be, so we think he would certainly average a triple-double just like Westbrook has. It'd be kind of fun to watch.
If he cared to do that,
he's
that's
a
what I'm
different
saying.
player. He's a different style of player. It's great that he doesn't do that. What's weird about
LeBron is more timid to shoot than Westbrook is.
Well, Westbrook's not afraid of nothing. I mean, that's insane. I love watching him. I still do. He's still a guy that I absolutely thoroughly enjoy playing the game.
We don't know Russell Westbrook from Adam.
I don't. No.
However, do you think that there's an element of him that loves this situation more than the one that went to the West Finals?
Yes.
Because he has to be everything?
Sure. Yeah.
I think so, too.
Well, he's doing something that's historical.
You just watch him play in the All-Star games and how much he cares about scoring in an All-Star game where there's 180 points aside. And that tells me enough to know that I think he likes being the guy, and even if that means that they go to the playoffs and they get bounced in the first or second round, in a way, he probably enjoys that more than being on a team with KD.
Because he's putting up a season that will sit in the record books. I mean, there are going to be elements of this season that people will look back on, I think, 10, 15, 20 years from now and say, well, holy hell, how did that happen? It's a confluence of a lot of things, the modern game and obviously out of necessity, but it's plus his ability.
The answer would be in the dead of night because nobody watches NBA regular season. That's how it happened. That's where it happened.
Also, I would tell you, so we always say when we watch teams, any game, any team, anywhere, that, if it would help to have a guy on your team that has some, as I say, what for when I'm on the air. Off the air, I call it something else.
Indeed.
When he has some what for in him. Ain't nobody got more what for than that dude. I mean, I've never seen a guy, not Jordan, not anybody, with more what for. Now, that's different than game and all that other stuff. There are better players, historically speaking, a lot better players than Westbrook. But what for? That guy's pissed all the time. Game 7, game 22 on a Wednesday at 9 p.m. Nobody watching. It's an affront to his being that you're trying to guard him. It's amazing how much what for that guy has. I love it. It's a level of moxie and anger that seldom seen. I just look at you, pissed off on a Tuesday.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Like halfway down, all the
about
way
halfway.
up, at the ankle?
At halfway, look.
Holy. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Don't settle for a sissy sandwich. Beef O'Brady's new $5 Epic Grillers stuff epic meaty goodness between thick slices of brioche bread, double grilled, inside and out. Beef's $5 Epic Grillers. 0% sissy, 100% epic.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Welcome to Staples.
Staples guy, I have my own business, so I wear lots of hats. Now I'm wearing my office manager hat because I need supplies.
Well, Staples has everything you need.
Now I'm putting on my CFO hat because I can't overspend.
And you won't. Right now, 10 ream cases of Staples multi-purpose paper are just $19.99.
All my hats and I would like to thank you.
They are welcome.
Staples, everything you need for business at great prices. And now 10 ream cases of Staples multi-purpose paper are just $19.99. In-store only, limit 2 per customer, plus tax where applicable. Ends 4/15/17.
Tallahassee's unquestioned sports authority.
Who do you think you are? I am.
97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car. A used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10 exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Well, short segment, so this is an easy one. The other night, Mo Harkless at the end of the regular season decided not to shoot a three-point shot. That in and of itself isn't a big deal, but here's what he earned by not doing that. $500,000. So I asked this question. He was in a tough spot. Mo Harkless plays for Portland. You don't know who Mo Harkless is or what Portland's record is. That's all of us. But This story is interesting. He was in an interesting spot on Wednesday night, which was the team's final regular season game. He had to all he had to do to make $500,000, which was a bonus in his contract, was finish the season making at least 35% of his three-point attempts. He entered the game, the final game of the season, 35.1%. What to do? Well, he didn't take a single three-point shot in the 103-100 loss. 103-100. Could have used a three. 103-100 loss to New Orleans. Now, do I blame him? No. They were already going to the playoffs. It didn't matter. It couldn't change their seeding. That factors greatly in my decision to then, not take a three and make my $500,000.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings just to see if they could have caught Memphis for the 7 seed. Impossible. Memphis lost 2 straight to fall to 43 and 39, meaning they had 43 wins all sewn up, and the best Portland could have done was 42. So, yes, there was nothing at stake.
Nothing at stake except for the $500,000. Harkless played 22 minutes in the game, was 5 of 6, finished with a three-point percentage on the season of 35.1, and he let his teammates throw up 33-point shots in the game, but he didn't take a single one of them. I'm going to pass that along. $500,000 pass, Timmy. Damian, you shoot it.
Harkless in the corner for 3, steps in and shoots from 20 feet.
Yeah. That's just ill-advised. Not tonight, it's not. $500,000 on the line. He had a sense of humor about it. He tweeted out a picture of himself along with his teammates at a restaurant afterwards and said, I guess the bill's on me tonight. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're the general manager in that situation, would you just come down before the game and say, listen, you're good?
You got it, yeah.
You're good. Play your game.
Okay, so it's not fun playing out as it did. If they could have improved their seating. Ooh.
You got to. And if you're one of the highest paid players, or you know what I mean, if you're the coach, maybe say, listen, I got you. Insurance.
Take care of him?
Yeah. Insurance, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Maybe, yeah. I guess you can play those kinds of games involving $500,000 if you're making $40 million. But, man, that's a toughie. I mean, I don't know that I would do that necessarily. All right. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9, ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
This is Mark, and he's a Scotts scientist. He's always working to make it easier for you to get a thick, lush lawn. Is your grass thin? Are dollarweed and clover creeping in? Mark's here to help with the #1 brand in the South, Scotts Turf Builder Bonus S Southern Weed and Feed. It has the right nutrients to green grass while killing weeds, all in one step. It's so easy it'll save your time and strengthen your grass. This is a Scotts yard. Pick up Scotts Bonus S today.
You're at Lowe's buying Choice Deck composite decking. You're at Lowe's buying Choice Deck because you don't always remember to wear your flip-flops. And stepping barefoot on a hot deck will instantly make you feel a sense of burning regret. Luckily, Lowe's is the only place to get Choice Deck with the new Cool Deck technology, which stays cool in hot weather and requires no sanding, staining, or painting. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Call 1-800-GO-LOWES for a free in-home consultation for your deck project.
This Easter, I'm putting all of my eggs into one basket, my Walgreens basket, because Walgreens has great deals on everything I need for Easter, all in one place. It's super easy. They're right around the corner with small gifts, toys, plastic eggs, gift cards, and all my favorite Easter candy like Starburst jelly beans and Cadbury eggs. I don't know where the Easter Bunny gets her baskets, but mine are definitely coming from Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Now through the 15th, select Starburst jelly beans are 2 for $4 or $2.99 each with card.
At Carrabba's Italian Grill, we're uncorking our new Food and Wine Festival menu, which celebrates the perfect pairing of Italian dishes with wines from around the world. Now you can taste 3 different wines in one of our new wine flights, with a free small plate like meatballs and ricotta, starting at only $9.99. So head to Carrabba's to try our new Food and Wine Festival menu, featuring wine flights and a free small plate. Hurry in today for this limited time menu. Carrabba's, Italian worth talking about.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Join us for 8 days of nonstop tennis as the rising stars of the USTA Pro Circuit battle for a main draw wildcard into the French Open. It's the 18th annual Tallahassee Tennis Challenger, April 22nd through the 29th at the Forest Meadows Tennis Complex. Proceeds benefit the Wagner Neurointensive Care Unit at Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Sponsored by the Florida Lottery, Tallahassee Democrat, the City of Tallahassee, Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, 850 Business Magazine, and Comcast.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The NBA playoffs start tomorrow. The defending champs tip off the postseason with Game 1 at home. The Cavaliers hosting the Pacers. The game is here on ESPN Radio starting at 2 Eastern. Coverage on ABC at 3 Eastern. And then starting at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow, a playoff tripleheader on ESPN. The Raptors host the Bucks. That's followed by the Grizzlies and Spurs in San Antonio. Then the Clippers and Jazz in Los Angeles. Clemson defensive lineman Scott Pagano will transfer to Oregon as a grad student. He'll be available to play in the fall. And the NCAA today passes a package of rule changes for college football recruiting. The new rules take effect in August. Recruits will now be able to take college visits starting in April of their junior year in high school, and schools will be limited to 25 scholarships per year.
Canadian Mist Whiskey, a splash of cola, a little crushed ice. It's so simple, but there's nothing better. A solo cup cocktail. It's how friends share a drink. Canadian Mist Whiskey. Simply together. Drink responsibly. Canadian Mist blended Canadian whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill. Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Happy Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the program. Appreciate you. You can do it. Appreciate you tuning in. Slow down, Cameron. It's not a race. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. There you go to listen live via the streaming free always. If you miss anything, remember this. We got you. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Every day upon the conclusion of the show, that happens, and you can get to it, listen to the podcast with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great sponsor, Carlton Dean, carltondean.com. Learn more about income-producing properties at carltondean.com. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at @JCameronShow and the WTSM app, free for your mobile devices. And the YouTube feed is up and running. Go there. You'll find us. Type in ESPN Tallahassee once you get to YouTube, and you'll find us that way. Sad news to pass along here. Former Leon coach Jim Sauls passed away. Had a heart attack last night. He was 71 years old. Tom, I met him when I first started in radio, and he is a legend in this community. I don't always get into the various coaches and athletic directors and players from high schools on this show. We have shows that do that, but I don't usually. But I think this certainly warrants a mention, and I pass along my condolences to his family. He's kind of a legend. Leon athletic director Mark Feely mentioned this morning, that with all that he did for Leon. For those that don't know, he was a 1964 graduate of Leon, played for Coach Gene Cox on one of his first teams at Leon. He also worked as an assistant under Cox through 1983. And then replaced Cox upon his retirement, added to the Leon legacy during his stint as the school's athletic director and head football coach from 1991 to 2000, and compiled a record earned a trip to the state finals in 1992. I know that. He's a guy that was always super nice, and I do things sometimes with the quarterback club and other groups, and you would see him out and about, and he's a part of the football community in the high schools in the area, and was really involved, and super nice man. When I started in radio, I went around to introduce myself to all the coaches in the area at the time, and he was at Leon, and it was an intimidating process because nobody knew who the hell I was doing a radio show, and a lot of these guys have quite the resumes. But he was super nice, welcomed me in, and shook my hand, and I got to know him a little bit. So sad news. Wanted to pass that along. I saw that was on the Democrat site. Thought I should mention it. Always odd to mention a death at the start of an hour because there's nowhere to go after that, but it's important.
Yeah, and certainly, this town is small enough, even though it's in some ways it's a bigger market, and in a lot of ways it's a community and a small town.
Oh, yeah.
And this isn't meant to be trite or cliche, but as somebody who's lived here now going on 11 years, when you hear about somebody who impacts the community,
yeah,
you can hear it from 2 or 3 people who you don't know each other, and they don't know each other. But anytime the community loses somebody like that, you just pass your well wishes, condolences to their families, and you hope that they heal.
Well,
as time does.
You're right, by the way, in the sense, we're very involved, obviously, on a daily basis in talking about sports, and you meet so many people from so many different walks of life, and the one thing that we all have in common, obviously, is sports. And a lot of us in this community, I would call this a sports community. I mean, with Florida State, and Florida A&M, and TCC, the successes of all 3 of those programs over the many years.
And the high school programs throughout.
Oh, my goodness. It's crazy how much. When I will say this, and he was part of that, so it's worth mentioning. When I first moved to Tallahassee, now obviously I played football down in St. Pete at Lakewood High School, and so the Tampa St. Pete area is rich with talent. There are lots of mega schools there that have gone on to have, Eric Llewellyn played at Jesuit, and it's a powerhouse program, a lot of powerhouse programs down there. And then just south of there, Bradenton Southeast, programs like that. And I was always well aware of the bigger cities and their successes. When I moved to Tallahassee, when I got here to go to school, I couldn't believe how many players come out of this town, considerably smaller than the Tampa St. Pete area or even, like Naples or places like that. I couldn't believe, between Lincoln and Leon and North Florida Christian and Godby, and I'm leaving teams out and people get angry, but there have been elite players at all the institutions here, elite, and they have had successes state championships, playoff appearances, consecutive, on and on and on and on, all these coaches and the records, and it amazes me.
Well, to the younger part of the demographic, too, if you're sticking around here or you just graduated and Tallahassee is where you're going to call home, you find these things out about the legacy of Tallahassee as a sports town, about community figures who have been making impacts for decades in the community. As you get older, it's interesting. You're on campus here, and it's like you live in one cordoned off area of the town, and you don't really explore Tallahassee all that much. But then you stick around here, and I haven't been to campus for any other reason than sports in quite some time. Like I just don't go to campus anymore. So now I migrate over towards the Parkway and Capitol Circle and Killearn or Southwood or the surrounding areas to go to the river or the lake. You know what I mean? I'm more of a citizen of the community. And that's when you hear stories about people like this and people who have a real impact because now you're a member of the community. Like I always thought of myself as a Tampa St. Pete guy.
Yeah.
But
it's weird when it transfers, when it starts to transition to this is your home and when you feel at home here.
Sure.
Like when you leave to come back from Tampa, I'm going home.
But
I can remember the first time I said that about Tallahassee.
Okay, Clearwater, Palm Harbor, where I live, the two places where I live, Tampa, St. Pete, they don't have a community feel like this.
Oh.
And, their sports radio, if they lose somebody who is a pronounced figure in high school sports or a community leader in sports or an advocate, you're not going to hear about that on sports radio. And I'm not trying to do a self-aggrandizing thing. I'm just trying to talk about how Tallahassee is a unique community, and there are bonds forged throughout, and they resonate when somebody makes an impact at a high school or from a community outreach standpoint. And that's one of the great things about living here.
If you're lucky enough and you get married and have kids here, as I have, you learn that ever more each year that passes and when your kids get involved in sports. And so mine are very little. I mean, I have a 6-year-old, so he's just now getting involved. But my 9-year-old,
half of the conversations you have with listeners when we're out and about are about where your kids are playing ball.
Yeah.
And they all know the coaches that are coaching your kids.
It's remarkable.
It's incredible.
And it's really cool, and I'm learning it as I go.
You talk FSU and youth sports. When somebody just comes up to you and starts talking, I find that's where the conversation deviates. It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it starts usually with you're a lot better looking in person than I realized, and then it goes to
and then
how
they
are
start
your
talking
kids?
to you and say, Tom, I got to talk to Jeff now.
Florida State Clemson starts this weekend, not tonight, but Saturday, Sunday, Monday. As I said last hour, as I'll say next hour, it is a vital series. It is a series of great impact. I think, frankly, they're not quite at that stage. Lee Gordon said, I think it was a week ago, after they beat somebody, it was either Jacksonville or Florida Gulf Coast or something like that. It was a must-win, and I scoffed at the notion. It wasn't a must-win. He was wrong then. He's wrong now. We are moving towards... we are moving toward... lovely. We are moving towards the time where the usage of that phrase is appropriate.
Okay, is this a must-win series? Not a must-win game tomorrow night.
It is not a must-win series. It is very, very close to a must-win series. Just by definition, it's not. My opinion is if you're expecting to make the postseason and give yourself a fighting chance at any possibility of a regional, which I think is just about gone, then yes. Yes, you would call it a must-win series. If you know what I mean? It's not on paper. Technically, you could lose this series, and there are enough games left on the schedule against good teams. I mean, you still have, obviously, Virginia. You still have Wake Forest. These are top 20, top 15 RPI teams. You still have Louisville, top 10 RPI team. So, along with some other games in there, you could do it. You could still find your way into the postseason. But it's not likely, is the point. And the thing is, Clemson's number 4 in the RPI. These are important games to boost your resume at the very least. You got to get as many wins as you possibly can the rest of the way because they are in dire straits, as we said last hour. This is a huge series, and they are going into it with yet another loss to Florida. I don't know. They can't possibly be feeling good about themselves. Now, think about this. You lose that series at NC State. After you win the first game, you score 16 runs, you're feeling great. Then you turn around, you lose the next 2 games. You have an opportunity in the 9th of one of them, and you don't score with 2 runners on and nobody out. they're in a tough place, and the road gets much tougher, and it starts Saturday. I don't like their chances. I'm not going to count them out. I haven't counted them out because of the roster all year long, but I'll reiterate, at some point, you got to win some damn games. This would be a good time.
Well, and sometimes the idea of something being demoralizing is overblown, but how many tough defeats, how many ways can you lose before it starts to form its own toll beyond your own personal struggles, And when does that become contagious beyond the point of salvaging something? Like, for example, Tuesday night, you're playing UF, you go up 2-0 in the first inning.
And you haven't been able to score off of them, and you get a home run from a player that's really been struggling in Taylor Walls. All the things you want to have happen early happen for you.
Crowds into it, yes.
Tom Lang wins a 6-pack.
Sure.
I mean, all the stuff you desperately wanted to have happen.
But then, next inning, without the benefit of a hit, they load the bases.
Yeah.
And they put up a 4 spot. Then they have the bags loaded later in the game.
By the way,
kid hits.
We come back and tie that. It's 4-4.
Exactly.
And then the big inning.
Then the big inning, they score 6, but they have the bags loaded, and they get a bases clearing double. And then we have the bags loaded with nobody out, and we come away with 0. I mean, how many of those types of moments can you go through? Because it's not always about the offense not coming through. Sometimes it's about the pitching staff not coming through. Sometimes it's about not being able to pick up the baseball when you have a no-hitter against North Carolina in the 9th inning and you lose the game.
Sometimes you blow a 10-2 lead.
Sometimes you have 11 errors in 2 games.
Yeah, they've had a lot of problems. They're not very good, and they're going to finish sub-500 in the ACC, I think. And so this is a problematic situation here in that, last year North Carolina finished below 500 in the ACC. And didn't make the postseason tournament. So there's a chance that Florida State will be in that same position, and it's remarkable. There's no other way to phrase it. It's rather remarkable, and I hope obviously that we're talking about a surprising series victory. Although, we'd have to win the first 2 games of the series to have that conversation on Monday because the third game is on Monday. But let's hope they're at least 1-1 going into Monday's game with a chance to take a series against a top 5 RPI team and maybe garner some momentum. They're a talented team. I keep saying it. You've said it. We all know it. But they're not winning games like talented teams do. So it's not enough to look at the roster and say he's a good player. He's a good player. Well, they're not playing well currently, and we're not getting wins. And this series isn't a must-win series, but it's as close to a must-win series as we've really been in since I've been here.
In the middle of April?
That didn't involve the postseason, right? It's crazy. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercars.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Welcome to Staples.
Staples guy, I have my own business, so I wear lots of hats. Now I'm wearing my office manager hat because I need supplies.
Well, Staples has everything you need.
Now I'm putting on my CFO hat because I can't overspend.
And you won't. Right now, 10 ream cases of Staples multi-purpose paper are just $19.99.
All my hats, and I would like to thank you.
They are welcome.
Staples, everything you need for business at great prices. And now 10 ream cases of Staples multi-purpose paper are just $19.99. In-store only, limit 2 per customer, plus tax where applicable. Ends 4/15/17.
Blink 182, return, live in concert.
And that's about the time she walked away from me.
Pavilion at the center of Tallahassee May 3rd. With special guests, The Naked and Famous, and Waves. Get tickets now at the box office or online at tallypavilion.com. Blink-182, performing all the hits and songs from their brand new album. Check out Blink182.com. Presented by the Pepsi Concert Series, produced by AEG Live and Hookah.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Don't settle for a sissy sandwich. Beef O'Brady's new $5 Epic Grillers stuff epic meaty goodness between thick slices of brioche bread, double grilled, inside and out. Beef's $5 Epic Grillers. 0% sissy, 100% epic.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay with Miller's Tree Service. When you need work done in your yard, you want a professional, someone you can trust to provide high-quality service and get the job done right. We've got 3 certified arborists and 6 work crews that can meet all your tree care needs. Hire the professionals at Miller's Tree Service, where we'll go out on a limb for you.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
Spring is the perfect time to be outdoors enjoying the fresh air with friends and family. It's also the right time to make sure your air conditioning system is ready for the hot summer. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air to learn more about your financing options for every budget. Visit us today at baranoac.com. License number CAC 057652.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Couple of odd NFL stories quickly. According to the New York Post, the Giants quarterback Eli Manning involved in a scheme with the team's equipment manager to sell fake gear. What the hell?
Why?
That could be advertised as, quote, game used based on game-worn gear. The Post obtained court papers that show Manning sent an email to Joe Skiba, the team's equipment manager, asking for, quote, helmets that could pass as being game used, which Manning was forced to turn over last week in connection to a civil racketeering suit. It alleges that Manning and the Giants worked in conjunction to bilk collectors into purchasing what they believed were authentic gear that was used in NFL games. 3 memorabilia dealers are suing Eli Manning, Skiba, the Giants, team owner John Mara, and others in the case. The emails were filed Tuesday at a Bergen County Superior Court. In one email from 2010, Manning's marketing agent, Alan Zucker, asked Manning to give him, quote, 2 game-used helmets and 2 game-used jerseys. Skiba replied to Manning, let me know what you're looking for. I'll try to get something down there for you. Manning reportedly responded by saying, 2 helmets that could pass as being game-used. That's it. Lawyers for the Giants issued a statement saying that the email is taken out of context and was shared with the media by an unscrupulous memorabilia dealer and his counsel, who for years has been seeking to leverage a big payday against Manning. It continues. The email predates any litigation. There's no legal obligation to store it on the Giants' server. Eli Manning is well known for his integrity and is just the latest misguided attempt to maim his character, is what his lawyer says. Except for that the email exists, and he did write that, and they are being sued, and that's interesting because that's lying, cheating, stealing.
Yeah, it's not a denial of the email ever existing or being, penned, so to speak.
Right.
However, it is a clever tactic and a useful one to, point towards an unscrupulous memorabilia dealer because, there are only 90% of memorabilia dealers out there that at least have some unscrupulous background or practices to
shady
them,
to say the
where they
least,
send
yeah.
children to go get autographs or some such thing.
Yeah, it happens all the time, and people get angry. Players get angry, then they get caught on camera being angry, and it looks bad for them. But when really they know, I've seen that guy 16 times or whatever it might be, yeah.
So Archie couldn't get in and clean this one up, could he?
Doesn't sound like it. Another lawsuit filed in 2014 alleged that Skiba sold former Giants Hall of Famer Michael Strahan's actual game-worn jersey from the Super Bowl and gave Strahan a fake jersey that was made to look real, even adding the Gatorade stains to the fabric at the time. That same suit alleged that Manning was involved in keeping his own game-worn gear and passed off other items as legitimate, although some of those claims have been dismissed since then. Okay.
So the Strahan thing, he wants his jersey back, and they look at the photo evidence and the video evidence of the Super Bowl postgame to find where the stains were and what the color of the Gatorade was so they could recreate
it.
And then give it to Michael.
So what you do, and why Major League Baseball, for example, is so careful about this, any important game, the ball, in many cases, stuff on the jerseys, on the uniforms, are set up with a unique stamp, if you will, hologram in some cases. You'll see how they do that, that this couldn't happen. You wouldn't be able to get a Giants jersey if it had something official from the NFL that only Super Bowl worn jerseys have.
Yeah, so if you catch Barry Bonds' record-breaking home run in baseball, for example,
you have it.
They could put it under a black light or
and
some
they
such
see
thing.
it and they know.
Like Polios Hermanos, so they knew which chicken to take.
That's correct. I was thinking of that. That's so funny. We think exactly alike. I'm like, well, that was really kind of how they did it there. But, yeah, I got to imagine this is going to be interesting because Eli, think about all the ramifications of this. I mean, if he's guilty of defrauding people, stealing, the guy won like the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award in 2016. No, it wasn't like. He did win the 2016 Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, given to a player for, quote, his excellence on and off the field, and who has had a significant positive impact in the community. Might be a cheating a thief.
You buy it? Because apparently there was a case or charges were dismissed in the past with this particular memorabilia company. That's got to be taken into account here, too. He has an email that looks not good.
Dubious, to say the least.
But then you have a dealing with this particular company in the past in which they, defrauded Michael Strahan and then other charges that they levied against a player that were dismissed.
Right. So you have a shady organization, as you noted. Most, or I shouldn't say most. I don't know that's the
yeah,
case.
It's unfair for me to say 90%. Too. That's wrong.
A lot of places are shaky in the sports memorabilia world, but there are a lot of upstanding ones too. Anyhow, the point would be, there's no other way to read that email. That is a legitimate email. It's in court documents. It was filed in the Bergen County Superior Court. We now know this exists. It's from 2010. There was one from his agent, Alan Zucker, which asked Manning to give him 2 game-used helmets and 2 game-used jerseys. You have the reply. Then you have Manning replying to Skiba, who is the equipment manager. And Manning says to him, after he asks, let me know what you're looking for, and I'll try to get you something. Manning responds, quote, 2 helmets that can pass as being game used. That's it. Eli. He even signs his damn name on an email.
Man, well, he never struck me as, even though he's a quarterback and he understands defensive principles and 2 high safeties, 1 high safety and coverage, Yeah,
he never struck you as terribly bright.
No, he looks like he and Michael Phelps would be awesome to watch in a game show.
The point would be, my man, even if this memorabilia person is a fraud himself, So that email's that email. It's,
Eric Burns, Michael Phelps, Eli Manning appear on Jeopardy. Who wins?
Michael Phelps.
Really? You think so?
I do. It's close, but I'm going to go with Phelps. I think Phelps wins.
Okay.
With a score of 400.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you have to be in the positive in order to make it to Final Jeopardy?
Yes.
Like you can't be in the red.
You can't be in the you can't.
There'd be a lot of boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Sorry, the answer was 4.
Yeah. No, that's tough. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and that's partly, Eli might actually be smart. I don't know.
He could
but
be.
It's the way he talks.
But
It's
you also have
impossible.
to be timely, in order to win at
and
Jeopardy.
he doesn't seem to be in a rush ever. Although he'll win you a road playoff game.
He will.
He's
He's like the top of the list, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll win you a road playoff game.
Like if
man.
you're down 4 and you
It's
have
crazy.
the ball, you have the ball with 1:20 to go in the playoffs on the road.
Only in the playoffs on the road, and preferably if the weather's terrible.
Sure.
Eli's your guy.
He might be number 1.
Eli is your
Your
guy.
Big Ben.
Yeah, I'd probably. Yeah.
But I mean, you're not looking to Peyton, are you, in that situation?
Oh God, no.
No.
No, you're
looking-
definitely not looking to Peyton. In that
Brady would be in
situation.
the conversation.
Brady's in the conversation.
Rodgers would be. But if you're talking about track record and resume, Eli's got it, and then some.
Yeah, certainly over a Flacco or anybody else. Yeah, it's him.
Yeah, well, Flacco did make the 4th down throw. It
I'm
wasn't
saying-
on the road. It was a Super Bowl.
I know. I'm saying. I mean, that's a
Flacco also does own New England, up in New England.
should have a better record against him.
Lee Evans.
Dumbasses can catch.
Lee Evans.
If that's real, that's a crazy story.
They didn't mention that in the Book of Manning, narrated by John Goodman.
No, they did not. That Flacco?
No.
Oh,
Eli.
Eli, yeah. I thought you were still.
Next up in the
Tom,
Book of Manning.
We'll talk about Joe Flacco. What the? Oh,
Archie
man.
was up to something.
I've often thought. I'll just say this. The final thing on this, and we'll be done with it. I've always thought that, man, that whole equipment thing. Obviously Roger Goodell is going to have to handle this situation, and he's got a saint in the eyes of football fans. He killed the Patriots for that integrity of the game violation for the Deflategate stuff. So anything that affects the integrity of the game, which you had Patriot employees who were guilty. It included 2 Patriot employees, and the league has spent a ton of money cracking down on phony NFL gear being sold online in and around stadiums. This is a big cause for them.
Sure. Well, the jerseys from China, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the ones you've ordered. That's okay.
Singular one.
Yeah,
yes.
that's all right.
You know who it was? Do you know who the jersey was?
It wasn't Brad Johnson.
Nope.
Because they didn't make those.
No, you're going to throw up in your mouth.
Oh, golly. Don't tell me it was like
Josh Freeman.
Oh.
It was after he had like the 21 and 8 year touchdown interception
Have
ratio
you
in
since
the team.
burned that piece of garbage?
Oh, it's gone. No, and you know what sucked is I could have kept it and put a Winston on the back. Then again, he played as number 3, not number 5. But yeah, it was a throwback and it had Josh Freeman. It was $40.
Of course it was,
Yeah.
because it was bootleg.
I know. It was bootleg. It wasn't the wisest decision.
Surprised it's not $20. Well,
Yeah.
remember I had my M-frames, the ridiculous,
Sure.
from that same website. Does it
Yeah.
exist?
I don't think it does anymore.
We're just admitting to crimes here on the air.
Well,
I don't think it's a crime. to
I don't
order
think
that.
it
I don't
is.
think so. They're committing a crime.
No, but it's just like wearing Nike gear. You kind of know where you get it from.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you got the deal. Yeah, you just took something from a sweatshop
Yeah.
for awfully cheap for
cheap.
Josh Freeman.
I took something from a sweatshop and I didn't pay for their advertising budget like I do with Nike. Yeah.
The point would be,
Aren't we all hypocrites in some way?
The NFL is going to have to crack down awfully hard on him and or the Giants big time, given what they've already done with the Patriots, if this is real. And I have to tell you, the deflating of a football, whatever the hell, this is a big deal.
This is a bigger deal to you than deflating a football.
Yeah, because what we found out with the deflating of the football was that, A, it doesn't have anything to do with anything. It doesn't mean anything. They would have beat the hell. Who was it? They killed the
That
Colts?
was, the Colts.
They killed the
Yeah.
Colts. The football had nothing to do with nothing. Nothing. Didn't make
And
any
it was
difference.
the Ravens that narked on New England.
Right.
They told the Colts to watch out for it because the Ravens lost a close game.
Right. But it didn't make any difference.
And they still decided, as the Colts, I should say, to complain. Why? I don't know.
I don't know either. But it didn't matter, right? It didn't have an impact on the game.
An hearsay.
And then we found for ages, then we found out that quarterbacks all over the league, including your hero, Brad Johnson.
That's right.
Amongst others.
Still is.
Have all done that.
Hey, where's that gear? Is it still in your car?
Yes. Oh. Sitting there now. We can go look at it if you like.
Okay.
Anyhow, so the point's been sitting there for weeks.
Yes. The signatures, have they melted?
No. So the point is, it didn't have anything to do with anything. This is a guy going out of his way to cheat and steal money from people, basically, under the guise of,
money that he doesn't need. Does he have gambling debts that we don't know about?
That's what I was going to say. This could be Pandora's, but let's go.
Why does he need these little...
Well, why is he selling fake memorabilia at that? Hey, scuff up this shirt a little bit. I'll say I wore it against Green Bay.
The only plausible thing is he's a hoarder, and he really likes keeping his game-used gear, and so he doesn't want to give up his game-used gear.
Right, he doesn't, but I would keep my game-used gear, too.
But like every jersey? You know what I mean?
Not every jersey,
That's
but
what
I'm saying I would keep, but people don't care about week 2 against Baltimore. They want the Super Bowl or they want the playoffs. So you're not selling some, hey, well, this is my second year when we went 6-10 and we lost to Cleveland in week 3.
No, but the burden here of what they need to provide is game-used helmet, not from the game, not from their biggest game. Just
right.
a game-used helmet. So why doesn't he want to just give one of his from last year?
It's going to be fun to find out what the rest of this story is. I think it's a weird story. It's odd. By the way, you saw this other story I should mention while we're on the NFL. Lewis Murphy, you saw that situation?
Yeah.
Well, in times like this, it's when I don't say Lakewood's own, but rather...
Sure. What did he do?
Well, I actually get this to some degree. How much time do we have in the segment?
Like one or two more minutes.
2 days after he was arrested on a felony charge of carrying a concealed weapon, after he was found with a loaded gun in the back in a backpack at Tampa International Airport, former Gator, once again, receiver Lewis Murphy,
that's cold,
issued an apology on social media. I want to apologize to all my family, friends, and fans. I hid my gun from my daughter in my book bag. A week later, I left to the airport in a rush. I forgot that I put it in my book bag. It was an honest mistake. Again, I sincerely apologize. Murphy, 29, faces the felony charge because he did not have a permit to carry the Glock 23 pistol found in his backpack, loaded, at a security checkpoint Wednesday morning. The former Gator missed all of last season recovering from a knee injury and remains unsigned as a free agent since being released by the Bucs in November. Okay, so, I don't own a gun. Not a gun guy. I would never be in this predicament, but that sounds like an honest mistake, I suppose. Although, here's what I don't get, man. Why are you throwing guns in a book bag? Shouldn't they be in like some sort of an official sort of container, like a locked box of some kind, so you don't have to worry about your daughter finding it?
How about taking the ammo out of the gun when you hide it? Why don't you just unload the gun? Why do you need it loaded?
Well, if he's taking it with him, I guess you want the gun loaded. What good is a gun to you if it's not loaded?
Yeah, but he didn't mean to take it with him. It was in the book bag.
Yeah.
He's hiding it from his... Why don't you just hide the gun from your child?
Why don't you lock the gun in a case?
Or take out the bullets. Like, what? Okay. Then they find it. Worst case scenario, they find it. There's nothing in it.
I'm not even going to let that happen. I'm saying you put the gun in a gun container of sorts or whatever it is, a safe. You lock it away so that can't happen.
Fight on Lakewood.
No, he's a Gator, man. Get it together. He and Aaron Hernandez. Oh, I can't conflate that. That's not fair.
No.
All right, Lewis, get it together. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Your home is energy efficient. You save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy. On runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too because, after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Discover the most fuel-efficient car in America at Werner Hyundai and get free gas for a year. It's the brand new Hyundai Ioniq. It has an estimated 59 miles per gallon. This month at Werner Hyundai, we're throwing in a year of free fuel. That's right. Buy the 2017 Ioniq at Werner Hyundai and get free gas for a year. Get Hyundai Assurance in America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, plus a lifetime battery warranty. The Hyundai Ioniq, 252 Capitol Circle Southwest, WernerHyundai.com.
Based on 12,000 miles a year, 203 gallons at $2.40. Total value $487 for 1 year.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos Burritos, baby.
Hi, I'm Pastor Richard Ledford. I want to invite you to join us at Restoration Place, Tallahassee, this Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. We're located just north of Fred George on Monroe at 3881 Monroe Street. For more information, check us out at myrpt.org. That's Restoration Place, 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. See you there Sunday morning.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Libations Friday edition. Jeff Cameron Show continues now. If you haven't done it, and I don't want to, it's not really, I don't know if it's show worthy is the right way to phrase it. But Dan Rooney died, yesterday while we were on the air, the owner, famed owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I didn't mention it, A, because I didn't see it till it was 5:50 something, and I thought it wasn't fair to go into Dan Rooney's death as we're signing off. But he is as important a figure to the success of the National Football League. Not the Steelers, that part's obvious, but the National Football League as there is in the history of that great game. You won't find maybe a more important man, maybe a couple people as important, but not too many more important people than Dan Rooney, who many would tell you is considered to be the greatest owner in the history of sports of any kind, and the fairest, most forward-thinking owner in the business. And it's rare for multimillionaire/billionaires who own football teams to be good guys. Typically, as you all know, if you get to be a billionaire, you're probably not a good guy. Something happened along the way where you screwed somebody is the point I'm making. but you won't find a negative word to be said about Dan Rooney. Now, I don't want to get into the life and times of Dan Rooney. You guys know, if you're a younger part of our demographic, the Rooney Rule is named after him, and it was an important rule and a good one. But he was doing things that were forward-thinking and unifying at a time when nobody else was. And is a guy that, Tony Dungy told a story about when he was with the Steelers. Tony played for the Steelers. And he went to, he went to Dan Rooney often to ask him his advice on how to move up in the ranks when his playing days were over, and he wanted to be a coach. And at that time, there just weren't black head coaches at all. And he wanted to know how he could get hired on as a coach and what he needed to do. And he asked him a question about, I've been told by some of my friends I should shave my beard. And because, black guys with beards, so it's probably not going to get jobs. They seem intimidating. He said, well, you don't have to shave your beard here, maybe elsewhere, but never here. You be who you are. And that was one of many things that stories he relayed, including one in which there was a black-owned newspaper in Pittsburgh that was highly critical of the Steelers because they didn't have African American players on their team, or they didn't have a lot of. And Rooney read the article and noted the criticisms, and rather than get angry, invited the writer to lunch and listened to him, heard him out, and afterwards said, I want you to help us get better about this in the community. I want you to help us be better as an organization. In fact, I'd like you to leave the paper. I'd like to hire you. So you could tell us about inclusion, teach us about how to go about including people that are black in the community and get them involved in the organization, either with jobs or certainly as a support team to be coming to games and also to kind of be a liaison. It sounds crazy now. I mean, the league is filled with African Americans, of course, but at that time, it wasn't.
Even still, the coaching ranks aren't as littered as they possibly could be, given the pool and the demographics. For example, just talking about demographics in sports, on Sunday, I think it's at 8:30. It might be 8 o'clock. Harold Reynolds sits down on the MLB Network with 6 current African-American Major League Baseball players talking about the state of the game now and reflecting on what it was momentarily, but they mostly talk about what they know, which is this day and time. And some of the snippets of that are interesting because obviously this is an issue that Major League Baseball has taken seriously and talked about for the better part of, 15 years now?
There's a huge initiative from Major League Baseball to do something about those dwindling numbers, and guys like Harold Reynolds and others are active in that initiative, for obvious reasons.
But what I find interesting about that discussion, and I believe Chris Archer and Adam Jones were doing most of the talking. Adam Jones was joking around. He says, "I can name you every one of the black players I played with. Played with Jay Payton. I played, you know what I mean? And like he said, I played with 4 of them my entire career." And, Chris Archer was talking about that as well and how there isn't representation in front offices and there's not representation as much on the benches for African Americans when it comes to managers or bench coaches or what have you. But what I find fascinating about that is they also readily admitted in this clip that they showed that the stands are full of white people. They say when they go and they play the game, they're playing the game with white people predominantly if you're playing with Americans.
Right.
And you're playing in front of white people, and you're playing with white people in the front offices as scouts, your general managers, your managers. But what's interesting about this day and time is we're past the point of if you're good enough, you can't play because of the tone of your skin. If you're good enough,
thankfully well past, yes.
Yes, you're going to play, and you're going to make a hell of a lot of money in order to play.
Yes, you are.
So it's a different problem, but the same frustrations are there as there were maybe in, say, the 70s?
Sure.
Where there aren't a lot of peers for African-American ball players to, bond with as they're playing the great game.
And it certainly goes back to, again, every study shows this. If you want to build your game, if you want it to be fruitful moving forward 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, it starts with getting kids to play the game. So every study shows that if you're a baseball fan, you likely grew up playing it. Oh, any fan of any sport, basketball, football. I love sports. I played every sport I could play. Therefore, any given weekend, if soccer's on, I like it. If baseball's on, I like it. If tennis is on, I like it. If basketball is on, I like it. But I played all those sports. I'm not saying that to brag. I played every one because that's just what you did in my household. We all just went and played sports.
Yeah, every 3 months was a different season.
Different season. That's just the way it was. Our life revolved around what season was it. And nowadays, in the era of specialty, where kids will play travel ball nonstop, and I think that's not a good idea. But you don't see that diversification where you play a bunch of different sports. And I've had a lot of players, former players, Dean Palmer tell me and others that that's not what you do. He would tell his kids to play everything. But the point is, you got to get young black kids playing baseball.
What's interesting is, you could talk about the economic barrier in this particular sport, but golf is going through the same type of issue where golf thought that, Tiger Woods, who's multiracial and obviously he's got a mom of Asian descent and his dad's African-American, late father. They thought that was going to launch, an integration of the game. It didn't. But what they found, because actually there's less representation now on the tour than there was, before Tiger, which is just staggering. I would have never expected that, but then you think about it and you think about the tournaments you're watching, and you don't really see a whole lot of African Americans playing the sport. And what they said, though, was in golf, what Tiger did was he inspired the athlete to play golf.
And
it's cool now for an athlete to play the sport.
And that's evident when you look at the players. And that is evident when you look at the players.
Yes.
A lot of them are jacked,
Baseball's problem is a little bit different, but they're both, those two sports are struggling, which is interesting to me because in the Tiger era, the ratings were crazy. And then and that's when I'm growing up. Same time I'm growing up, Ken Griffey Jr. was a superstar. Barry Bonds was love him, hate him, but Barry Bonds was a household freaking name.
Well, we did the face of baseball. Who's the face of baseball? The big article that came out last week, and they're talking about how these things can be cyclical, that, the face of football is probably Tom Brady, and he's 39 years old, and he'll be on his way out soon. But baseball's had a situation where a lot of the great stars like Jeter and others retired or out of the game now. And so we're waiting for that next guy. And you have a guy, not an African-American. You have two guys that I think are candidates, but so far it hasn't taken off, whether that's Bryce Harper. On the East Coast, you would think he would be the guy, or Trout on the West Coast.
And it's considered to be, an open secret that, the Yankees are the front runner for his services in the prime of his career.
So,
you get that media machine on top of the money he's going to make, on top of the good player that he is, the great player that he potentially can be for another 10 years.
If he goes to Yankee Stadium, he may hit 100 home runs.
Yeah.
Back to Dan Rooney, real quick. And that is a fascinating conversation. And it'll be interesting to see how baseball is populated 20 years from now. Because right now, it's the largest contingent of foreign-born players in Major League Baseball in the history of the game. And this season marked the largest percentage of Hispanic ball players that Major League Baseball has ever had.
Well, and that's another thing. Again, you're talking about a nationality that we're not even thinking of as Americans. You said the African-American representation is up, but I'm sure if you look just across the board, I'm assuming something here, and you should be careful with this with statistics because you need to go see. But I'm sure the American participation in general is down because of the influence of South America, Central America, the islands. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's Korea, South Korea. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, you have all
Japan's influence. I mean, there was a barrier there, and Ichiro was one of the first to break it. And sure, it's not unusual to have one or two Japanese players on your team.
There's a great quote, as once again, I go back to Dan Rooney. That's not your fault. I keep getting sidetracked too. From the former commissioner, Paul Tagliabue, and talking about Dan Rooney. And I didn't want to spend ages on Dan Rooney. I wanted people who are younger. And I sometimes forget I'm bad at this. It's my fault. But at 45, I make certain assumptions about people's knowledge of the game and the history of the game. I forget sometimes even when I'm talking to you, and you'll kind of give me a quizzical look, and I'll realize, oh, he was 4. Like if I say something about a game that I assumed everybody saw, the famed Chargers-Dolphins playoff game where Kellen Winslow looks as if he's going to die on the field, that goes into double overtime, and they're having to carry him off the field. In my mind, that's etched indelibly forevermore. Everybody remembers the same way that any great
Super Bowl is,
Oh, that game is one of the greatest games ever played. And that performance that he gave in that game is one of the great performances of all time. If I make reference to that now, you didn't see it. He certainly didn't see it. I'm pointing to Matthew for those not watching on the YouTube feed. He wouldn't be born for another 20 years.
Yeah, see, I saw parts of it on a 30-minute ESPN NFL film special on ESPN2 during the day, which would, as you're talking about it, seeing it, to Matthew, that doesn't exist anymore. The NFL Network exists.
Right.
But you got your NFL films on ESPN2 in the summers.
That's what you did.
You got the yearly diaries. You got, you got
the yearly
classic
diaries. They make
Remember
every
those?
season sound good. You could go 2-14, watch one of those yearly diaries. It wasn't that bad a year for the Chargers.
That was the best part is
Yeah.
the season in review, and it's like a big win over the Carolina Panthers. After 3 straight losses, it was Trent Dilfer again in the fourth quarter for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it would make me laugh at the very end. And although they would succumb on this Sunday, they were champions of spirit.
And they would flash the scores like real quick. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
say,
just
then
move it along.
in November.
They'd get lucky and win a game against some 1-14 sorry ass, and they'd be like, in an epic performance. I always love that. Here's the quote from Tagliabue. My point on Rooney is this. If you're young and you don't know who the hell Dan Rooney is, and you don't know why the football-loving world and the sports world in general is making such a fuss today over the passing of Dan Rooney, do yourself a favor and go read any number of articles that were written today on Dan Rooney. It won't be hard to find. Peter King does a very good job in talking about Dan Rooney. Peter King's annoying as all hell, but when it comes to an understanding of the history of the game, he certainly has that. And so you can read his article and certainly link to any number of others. Tagliabue's quote, so that you know what I'm talking about when I talk about the importance of Dan Rooney to the NFL, is this. He was an inspiration to millions throughout America and in many other lands. He was at home on mean streets, in locker rooms, and chapels, with presidents, popes, poets, and visionaries. Few have served so many so well. In the NFL, he is irreplaceable. First of all, that's a hell of a quote. Secondly, think about that's profound. I mean, that's what he did. That's the impact he had on the National Football League and, moreover, on the men who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in many cases you'll find against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a critical piece in CBA talks and the way that the league does business, the way that the league grew.
And more than just informing society and helping progress things, that's one of the more stable organizations from a success standpoint, not named the New England Patriots of late, but over the last 30, 40 years,
I'd say the most successful, most stable franchise in the NFL.
Yeah, and think about, again, using the word stability. How many franchises are more stable in sports in the last 40, 45 years?
Well,
because you've had more successful in spurts. I mean, the Yankees have won a bunch of World Series in that time, but would you classify them from ownership on down as more stable than the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No.
Hell no.
It's been in the Rooneys forever. So, you look and you go back, and it's interesting when you see all the Hall of Famers, Mel Blount, Joe Green, John Stallworth, Franco Harris, all these guys from the Steelers, African-American men at the time that they broke into the game, again, were not necessarily they were atypical of the league at that time. And it was Rooney who had the vision to say, all right, well, what are we doing here? We want the best players. I don't care if they're black, white, or whatever. And so he, with the help of that writer and others who told him, hey, we feel like we're excluded, went out and forged a new path.
They've had 2 coaches as long as I can remember watching the game of football.
Yeah.
It's been Cowher and Tomlin. And they win a lot. When they were down of 2 or 3 seasons ago, I thought, well, this is nice. We get a respite from the 87 Steelers fans at every bar I go to on a Sunday. And then they're right back in the conversation, and they're in the conversation, it seems, every year. One of those outside chance teams that can go all the way.
And as proof that the Rooney rule works, it's how they found Tomlin. So it's pretty amazing, right? All right. We got to give away tickets, don't we? Before the final hour, I'll do that right now.
Blink 182 coming up May the 3rd. Special guests, The Naked and Famous, and Waves.
I feel like your efforts to make sure you include The Naked and Famous and Waves
You never
is
know.
better
Sometimes...
than that of, their manager.
Well, okay, that tells you 2 things. One, Blink 182 is whatever
yeah.
to me. And 2, sometimes the opening act is the one that steals the show.
Yeah, well, I don't know either of those 2 bands, but I just get a sense that you're really rooting for them.
I am.
I think it's...
I'm not going to see it.
I know.
But I'm rooting for them.
Every time we go to do this promo, I barely get Blink 182 out of my mouth before you're mentioning Waves and the Naked and Famous. And every time I'm like, man, is Tom a huge Wave fan? Does he just love the Naked and Famous? I think it's awesome because I can
Tom
picture.
seems to carry cash around a lot.
I just keep thinking to myself that manager is going to be driving into town and be, Whoever that guy's producer is fantastic. That guy's my hero. That's right. We will be there, Tom, whoever you are.
So I get my Celica repaired. We'll be there.
Caller 4, 523-3776, Blink 182 tickets. Go!
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
At Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, sponsored by the Florida Lottery, Tallahassee Democrat, the City of Tallahassee, Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, 850 Business Magazine, and Comcast.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay with Miller's Tree Service. When you need work done in your yard, you want a professional, someone you can trust to provide high-quality service and get the job done right. We've got 3 certified arborists and 6 work crews that can meet all your tree care needs. Hire the professionals at Miller's Tree Service, where we'll go out on a limb for you.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
There's a new 7-year tractor warranty in town. Now, only Mahindra tractors have the industry's best 7-year limited powertrain warranty. That's right, not 5 years, not 6, but a full 7 years. Only on the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Only at TNT Supercenter. Go see Clint and the friendly staff to get your next Mahindra tractor. TNTSupercenter.com.
Warranty on select models. See Mahindra warranty policy for details.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The NBA playoffs start tomorrow. The defending champs tip off the postseason with Game 1 at home. The Cavaliers hosting the Pacers. The game is here on ESPN Radio starting at 2 Eastern. Coverage on ABC at 3 Eastern. And then starting at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow, a playoff tripleheader on ESPN. The Raptors host the Bucks. That's followed by the Grizzlies and Spurs in San Antonio. Then the Clippers and Jazz in Los Angeles. Clemson defensive lineman Scott Pagano will transfer to Oregon as a grad student. He'll be available to play in the fall. And the NCAA today passes a package of rule changes for college football recruiting. The new rules take effect in August. Recruits will now be able to take college visits starting in April of their junior year in high school, and schools will be limited to 25 scholarships per year.
Canadian Mist Whiskey. A splash of cola, a little crushed ice. It's so simple, but there's nothing better. A solo cup cocktail. It's how friends share a drink. Canadian Mist Whiskey. Simply together. Drink responsibly. Canadian Mist Blended Canadian Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for this week, and a fine Libations Friday to you and yours. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember this, we got you covered. All 3 hours posted upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault, and that is all brought to you with limited commercial interruption, thanks to our great sponsor, fine folks at South Lane Commercial, Carlton Dean. CarltonDean.com. Go there to find out ways to make money. Commercial real estate can be done, and you can learn there. CarltonDean.com. Email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. The WTSM app is a good one. It works for your mobile devices. And you can watch us on YouTube. Just type in the ESPN Tallahassee feed there, and you'll find us performing the show. All right, good times. I'm still excited about Asante Samuel yesterday, buddy.
Yeah?
He's a 4-star recruit and the son of a really good corner. I got to believe he's good.
Okay.
He's also almost 5'11" already.
Typically, there isn't much staying power outside of, after signing day and we get yet another defensive tackle, or at least we've confirmed what you've known for a long, long time, that another defensive tackle is coming to Florida
and I've
State.
got to identify my guys, right? I'll do it again for you this year, folks. How many years running now? I've got a good streak going.
Well, you've got Jernigan, Goldman, Marvin, and one other maybe? Noddy.
Yeah, I got Noddy to the Knowles. Yeah. I'm
Knowles.
on a roll. So Marvin Wilson, when he arrives, it's true, though, man. If you think about the rich getting richer on the defensive tackle,
sure,
that is really
He doesn't
really
even
amazing.
have to be in the 2 deep, but he's good enough to be, even if it's for 5 to 10 snaps. But if you're looking at, Noddy and Christmas and Aim and Fred Jones as your top 4, I mean, good Lord. He's got a mountain to climb.
Well, we're recruiting a linebacker, by the way, a top 5 linebacker in the country who right now is on Ohio State lean, a kid by the last name of Mitchell. But we get the last crack at him. And it's so odd. You know how I make fun of, I follow thekitties.com and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I catch myself when it comes to linebackers and defensive tackles, I tune in. He's 6'3", 230, this linebacker. He's a big boy.
That is a big boy.
That's a big boy.
That's awfully big for our scheme, too. Have you noticed in the last couple of years, it seems like we're getting some more thumpers?
Well, yeah. It's, we needed more toughness in the middle. That's
like
for sure.
Dontavius
Yeah,
is a
thumper.
big guy, and he's got some density to him. He's not, the Telvin Smith build, because it seemed like that's the kind of guy we were recruiting for a good long while, was the undersized sideline-to-sideline type.
And we had a few guys that would have been considered thumpers, but they either smoked too much weed and got kicked off the team and had to leave and or
This is
transferred.
true.
So that was a problem. But that said, this kid, the Mitchell kid, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and us. That's what it's down to.
Oh, buddy.
So,
Okay.
listen, if Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama, along with us, are recruiting you, you're pretty good.
I think it's coming down to the giant slide and laser tag and, the golf simulator.
Or prostitutes. You just never know. We're playing for keeps.
Is that
right
what
now.
they're doing up there in the football facility in
All I'm saying is we're playing for keeps with 5 stars, man. You got the kids. If it's us versus Alabama.
Here's our bowling alley, our golf simulator.
And this is Susan. So, yeah, hey.
You think that name's ever going to make a comeback?
Susan?
Yeah.
Not for prostitutes.
No, just in general.
No, I think.
How names are cyclical.
Yeah.
Or somewhat.
Susan?
Yeah.
Is that an unpopular name currently?
I've never met a Susan that is a peer.
I know a Susan 5 years older than me, but I'm 45.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do I know any other Susans? Good call, Tom Lang.
Yeah.
Some Susan I know is going to be
What
like,
happened to all the Teds?
where are the Teds, Johns, Dales?
Where's Susan?
You know, we know a few Dales, but I think it's interesting. If you were having a kid, it's a strange thing to say, hon, I'd like to name him Dale. I don't think that would, I mean,
buddy, my
That's gotta
family
be
roots come from the Northeast.
That's got to be a
just
family name, right?
That's not something that, you know.
There's never been a
There's a lot of Josephs and
Well-
Marks, and I mean, and it's the Catholic roots too. So a lot of the, you know,
Yeah. No, but see,
the
like,
disciples and the apostles.
like Dale, it's not Dan. There are plenty of Northern Dans.
Sure. Yeah.
Rich elitist Dans. They're all over
Oh
the
God,
place.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Daniel, Dan. Yeah. Not Dale. Dale almost pigeonholes you into a few occupations. I don't think, like...
I don't know about occupations, but
I don't think, like...
Okay, no. Now, we had a guy that helped us with licensing and stuff, and he passed away apparently last year.
Well,
It's like,
sweet
you know,
Jesus.
it's like the voice guy. It's like all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah,
he's
I
dead.
don't- For people that don't know that story, I walked into work one day, and I want to hear this one too. And Matt told me that our voice guy had just died, and come to find out that, you know, the reason he was the voice guy was he had a great voice, and that voice was built with cocaine and whiskey. Those guys don't make it. They keel over in an apartment somewhere.
That's how his voice was made,
That's
huh?
how his voice was made. Yes. So that was the end of that.
A lot of long nights
Lot of
working on
long-
audition by
Well,
himself.
let me tell you something. I don't think it's a big leap that if you meet a man who likes cocaine and whiskey, he is most definitely a smoker. So you just add to the many ways, you know?
Well, that's like, you know, this is not what you're supposed to take away from it, but they're doing the Star Wars weekend in Orlando, Disney right now, and that's, you know, so they're doing a whole bunch of different things, but they released a tribute to Carrie Fisher, like a
Right.
4-minute
Yeah.
tribute, because obviously she passed between last year's and this year's ceremony. And you know what? You could see how cigarettes and the nightlife can have an effect on somebody in their voice, because they show interviews that she did when the movie was first filming,
Yeah.
her
Oh,
audition,
yeah.
and then it goes all the way through even the 90s when it's a dead period in the filmmaking, and you could just hear it. The gravel is building. There are more pavers even, you know? It's gravel and pavers and mulch.
So we worked with a guy. You did, I think, briefly. Maybe you didn't.
Did he work at the country station?
Yes.
I think he was there for maybe 3 or 4 months, and then he was gone.
And then
And everybody was sad in the building. I was like, oh, this guy must have been something.
He was good. He was he was all right. He's an interesting cat. But a legend.
Bigger gentleman glasses?
Not him.
Oh, okay.
This
Okay.
guy. No. Well, bigger. You mean fat?
I'm
Was
trying
he-
to be nice.
Was he fat?
He was round.
No. This is not the fat guy. No. This is somebody else. But anyhow, this guy is a living legend and very much alive. Has lived a tough life. He's but a good life, but yeah. Anyhow, he's in books and stuff. Like you can read about the origins of radio, and he worked in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as
the actual, like, okay, so.
Like DJs, the emergence of DJs
Yeah,
in the 60s and 70s.
You talk to a lot of people who are old timers in radio, they'll tell you that they were working in New York City or,
Right,
you know,
right.
and
No,
most
no.
of them are full of, you know,
No, this
what.
guy worked in Chicago,
Wow.
and I've got a book with his name in it. Yes. And by the way, Tom, working in radio, if you want to have some fun, go read books on what it was like to be a DJ before the payola laws were in play, even before they took them serious. If you were a DJ, an emerging DJ in a big city in the 50s and 60s, you might as well have been a rock star. I mean, if you were the on-air guy, you controlled what got played.
I figured something like that was, I mean, because why would they have those regulations in there?
Oh, yeah.
People were having too much fun.
Oh, yes, they were.
Yeah.
They were living in mansions,
Yeah.
all because record companies wanted to make sure they took care of their guy.
Yeah.
It was a better life, Tom. It was a better time.
Radio actually made money.
Oh.
Then TV arrived, and as the
but
song goes.
Radio still always makes money.
No,
I mean,
from a music standpoint,
yeah,
you know, because
yeah.
MTV was then, that was it. If you were on MTV or VH1, then you were the man.
The biggest thing in the world, you paid off DJs in markets like Chicago, New York, L.A., Miami. You know, Larry King got to start down in Miami. I don't know about payola, but he had a talk show down there, and he would do it from a coffee breakfast house. It's crazy. Anyhow, long story short, that Those guys got paid off all the time. But their hands were always open. Anything they could get. Tickets to this game, this whatever gala, money, houses, you named it. They had it. But they also, they lived the life. And I got to know a real-life guy who worked with us at the old station. His stories were insane.
So,
but his voice carried the years of excess.
Sure.
Yeah, but it was a great voice.
So, okay, I was talking with our station engineer, Chris, not to be confused with our phone engineer, Mark, who has the wine and he gets us the phone lines.
Yeah.
But
that's the wine.
Chris deals with the same person that we do. And I said, well, that's coming up in a year that we need to, have a couple of things filed. And he said, oh, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. Yeah.
Oh, really? Because the guy was in good health. The guy he's out of Pennsylvania. He flies down here and he does some work. But Dale was his middle name, and he goes by Dale. And he was, he was not of the South or the Southeast.
No.
So there's your exception to the rule.
There it is. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to have been proven wrong. And I'm glad to have had my eyes opened on this Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the program to the fact that Susan has been ostracized from the naming community. Basically, there's just no more Susans.
No.
Right? Not new Susans, like little baby Susans.
Yeah.
You meet grown-up Susans left and right.
You know Sues, right? I don't know any Sue. I don't even have a Sue my age.
I know a Sue. One of my brothers is married to a Sue.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a peer that perhaps full name Susan. I never met a Sue.
She's a little older than me.
Never one. I'm thinking through the roster.
You've never met a Sue ever?
A peer.
Oh, yeah. So in college, high school, never met a Sue?
No. I'm running through the roster right now, the yearbooks. I'm not finding a Sue.
It's interesting you bring it up because now you got me thinking about, have I ever seen, outside of my brother's wife, of course, have I ever seen a pretty Sue?
I feel like the answer to that has to be yes.
Well, it better be on the air.
I
mean, I think you have to say that anyhow. But I'm trying to think.
But I feel like Sue carries some clout to it. Southern Belle kind of thing.
Did you ever see the movie Peggy Sue Got Married?
No.
It's a good movie. You'd like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What year?
Peggy Sue Got Married is in the 90s. It's you never saw it?
No, I'm pulling up the IMDb right now.
Well, it's a movie that they go back in time. It's nostalgic.
1986.
Woo!
It's as old as I am. Maybe older.
86?
1986.
My God.
Peggy Sue faints at a high school reunion. When she wakes up, she finds herself in her own past just before she finished school.
Yeah. Right. And it's bizarre.
Got a 6.3 on IMDb.
You'll like it, Tom. It's very good. And
Nick Cage is in it.
Yes, he is. And he plays a doofus.
Jim Carrey is in it.
Yes, he's his friend.
How about that? Kathleen Turner is the star.
Yes, she is. That's back when Kathleen Turner was a star. And considered hot.
How about that?
Did you know that Candace Bergen nearly got whacked by the Manson clan?
What?
Yeah.
Murphy Brown?
Yes. Yeah. She almost died. The week before the murders, Manson paid a visit to her house looking for another guy, but who he thought lived there. But the guy had moved, and she had bought the house with her boyfriend or something, maybe husband, I don't remember which, and she had a run-in with him, and she didn't like him and asked her boyfriend, whatever he was, hey, that guy's dangerous, whoever that was. Did you get him off of our property? And she knew, and then she had to take a flight to Europe, and a week later, the killings happened. It's crazy.
There's another lady with a gravelly voice.
Candace Bergen?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't quite B. Arthur, but it was, it was getting there.
Go back and look at pictures of Candace when she was like 19, 20, 21 years old.
You could tell, man. She was pushing Sprint products in the 90s and still, even in her 40s, 50s.
You could tell Mary Tyler Moore, too, back in the day.
Yeah.
You can tell back in the day.
I saw her in Ordinary People. I had to watch that.
Yeah, there's no chance you can come back from that.
She was reprehensible.
But she won an Academy Award for that. But you can't come back from that, is what I'm saying. If you would have seen
can't start
her,
there.
Right. If you'd seen her when she was really young in Mary Tyler Moore, you'd say, okay.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Did you happen to hear the Chipper Jones interview today with Dan Le Batard?
You mean Larry Jones? No. I know he's a big fan of Jacob deGrom, so he's come around. At least a little bit for me. But no.
He actually was very candid, very interesting. I didn't think he would be. I did find it refreshing. Didn't realize he and Le Batard actually sound like they're friends. Le Batard loves interviewing him, saying that he's one of the more honest guys in the business. Anyhow, the point of this is to say this. If you didn't hear it, go back and find it in the archives. It's good. But he brought this story up about the time that he had to tell his wife that his girlfriend was pregnant. And he wasn't real proud of that situation. It obviously led to a divorce, as one would think. He didn't say how he did it, but I have been thinking about it all day. How would you broach that subject? How would you begin? That's not the topic of this particular segment, but it's just a side note.
I don't know how.
I don't know how you would tell
I can't
your
comprehend
wife.
doing it, so I don't know how.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't know how you would do it. Like going to, I mean, just.
Because it's not, it's not like a one-night mistake.
Right.
That comes to fruition. It's your girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Like you have a steady thing on the side?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I can't envision that.
So I think most people, reasonable people, can understand how people make mistakes. And they
sure.
There are infidelities. So if you're married, and I'm talking about married couples now, Tom. I'm not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, or anything like that. I'm talking about married couples. And the subject matter that leads to movies and drama and books and everything else is, what do you do with that when that's happened? And sometimes, the thought is that a guy should just, if he cheated on his wife or if a wife cheated on a husband, if it was a one-time, one-off, terrible mistake, they feel guilty about it, they really do love their spouse, and maybe that incident made them realize just how much so, you don't really gain anything by telling them except for you get to ease your own conscience. And so really, you're doubling down on the a-holicness of what you've done. You should keep it to yourself because you're only trying to unburden yourself by telling them. If they never know, ignorance is bliss in this case, truly. And you have to live with the burden of what you've done. You have to live with the knowledge that you did that, but she shouldn't or he shouldn't if you're the victim. So I always think about it from that standpoint, but you're right. If you have a girlfriend, is you've got a steady.
But he's a great guy, though, Jeff.
Well, I'm not saying he's a great guy. I'm saying he did that, and he owns it, and he talked about it openly.
Congrats.
And he said, certainly, that, hey, the 45-year-old me would beat the 20-something-year-old me senseless.
Too bad.
And so, I mean, look, he wasn't looking for sympathy. He was asked a question, Tom. So the point is, I found it fascinating that, A, he talked about that and that's a crazy conversation I'll never have to have, and hopefully you won't or anybody else won't.
I can't envision the answer to your opening question, though, because that's an impossible scenario.
It's just fascinating, the thought of walking into a room armed with that knowledge, knowing you then have to say this. You have to say this. I mean, you got to tell her because it's going to – I guess he was between a rock and a hard place. I think he realized that maybe it was going to come out at some point, so he just decided to tell everybody in his life before it did, hey, here's the deal. All right. All of that said, it leads me to the segment and the reason I brought it up. As hard as it is to imagine a guy who's married having a girlfriend who's pregnant and having to tell the wife about the girlfriend, this story about your boy Jose Reyes leading a double life for years is extraordinary. I'm tired all the time. Just to tell you, I'm tired, and I have one wife. Can you imagine having an entire separate family? How do guys ever put themselves in this position? It's bizarre. Reyes' ex-girlfriend, Cristina Sanchez, says the third baseman. By the way, if you read the article in the Daily News, they don't say the third baseman. They say the struggling third baseman. They get their shot
right,
in.
They do. God.
I've read it in two different places.
He looks lost.
But I'm cracking up because if you read the article as the AP put it out, and then you read the Daily News, very different. The Daily News is like, yeah, this sorry ass.
Yep.
Like they're adding their own.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he's a piece of garbage anyway, but
right.
He's one that looks like he doesn't know how to play the game anymore.
Well, she says the struggling third baseman's on-the-field problems currently are all due to a guilty conscience over a 6-year affair he had with her, and now they have a 7-year-old daughter, whom she says he has completely abandoned. According to Sanchez, who is currently suing Reyes for a significant increase in child support, she and her daughter were Reyes' road family, while he raised a separate family back home during his tenure with the Mets and the Miami Marlins, as well as the Toronto Blue Jays.
Now, that is absolutely a thing. I can tell you that I played in a corporate flag football team. How about this? When I was 18, I was in high school, but I was playing with my older sister's, company team.
Team, yeah.
I would be playing on that team, and there was a female on that team who was the road wife of a Detroit Tigers player. Never found out who, but it was just understood. She didn't work.
Really?
Oh, yeah, she didn't work. She didn't work for a living. He put her up in a place, and she just did as she pleased. And one of those things that she did as she pleased was play flag football on our team.
I do know that is a thing. My buddy who works in professional baseball or did work in professional baseball said, yeah, he's recognized that there were guys that had women in different towns that they paid to stay in a nice high-rise or something like that.
I'm sure for spring training she was on call or something along those lines,
It's just too much work.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you have made a vow, and I hold mine very seriously, but the point would be, let's just say you dismiss the vows in your mind as being just part of a process that, know,
a necessary evil.
Yeah. It's just too much work. Just be constantly juggling,
Right.
constantly
It's
tired.
Lance
you constantly-
Armstrong
it's
meets
nuts.
Wilt
You are-
Chamberlain.
Right.
You know?
Just on the go constantly. She says, we'd go to restaurants, go to games, go shopping. That was the life I was living. It was a double life. She goes on to talk about how the Road family, when he was there, they'd hang out. They'd go to the movies. They'd go to restaurants. You know what I realized? This is kind of an incredibly rare situation now compared to what would have been the case in the 80s or any decade before the internet. Because, literally you could move around the block in the 50s and have a separate family and maybe nobody would know about it.
Sure, yeah.
You cannot do that in this day and age. Your feet are held to the fire if you're famous now at all times, and people take pictures of you with their phone everywhere you go. There would just be no way to keep that hidden from a woman. I don't know how he got away. He did this. Sanchez and her attorney were in court in April, early part of this month, with Reyes' legal team, who's asking for a gag order. They want her to shut up because she's talking to everybody. With Sanchez, which Sanchez suspects was to keep her from giving details of this secret life that she had with Reyes after he married his wife, Catherine Ramirez, in July of 2008.
It's 2017.
I know, but that's crazy how long that went on. In 2008, man, these cell phones had cameras everywhere. I don't know how he got away with it for as long as he did. That's nuts. He's got 3 daughters.
He was pretty fast in 2008, Jeff. He could steal a lot of bags.
She says that she would go to games. She did say he treated her amazingly well, but they went to Disney World together. They went on cruises together. My man is just not having it. He just didn't have a woman on the side. He literally had a whole family on the side that he would go to Disney World with and cruises. What was he telling his real wife and kids?
Which one is?
Right. I guess the one that came first, right?
Maybe.
He claims that Sanchez claims that a lot of Reyes' teammates had wives at home, girlfriends on the road, but she didn't know their names. But this was different. They were like a thing. Jose, your cheating game.
You think Chipper would have done that if he knew the papers weren't going to catch wind of it?
I don't know. I have no idea. He said that's why he told his parents. He didn't want them to read about it. But I don't know.
They can read about it in his new book, which you can buy.
Which you can, without question.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't doubt that, and he says it. He was honest about that. He said, well, I think if you're going to write a book, you got to put it all in there.
Sure.
Got to be candid.
Well, and you have to say that, too, so you can make money off of it.
Well, you got to sell the book. And he's on a book tour. I don't think what I'm saying is I get when guys are selling books and when guys are selling anything for
like
that
the
matter.
Joe Buck admission of the hair plugs.
Right.
Oh, come on. I got to tell the whole story.
Well,
you know what.
That was hair plugs. But he told that story.
I'm going to tell the whole story that the world can prove, plus a little nugget here or there that people say, oh, well, now this guy, I can relate to him. I want to read more about that.
Well, all we had to do was
just
look at
$25.
Well, we had to look at Joe Buck anyhow, and it was pretty obvious that he had hair plugs. What we didn't know, in fairness to him, was that he almost died from getting them excessively. Like he was that vain that the first time he got hair plugs, he was like, oh, these aren't good enough. We got to get more hair plugs. Then we got to get more hair plugs. Then we got to get more hair plugs. And then he became addicted to getting hair plugs. I think I would have left that out of the book. Because that doesn't endear you to anybody. Nobody relates to that. Who's going to relate to that?
Well, the publisher says you got to give me something here. What do I have to
got
give you?
some
Well,
hair plugs.
Well, Joe, people think that you're vain to the point of ridiculousness.
Oh, if they only
they
knew.
do? Well,
Check out
okay.
these 16 hair plugs.
You want confirmation bias purchases? I'll give you confirmation bias purchases.
Yeah. No,
for only $12 on your Kindle.
I mean, that's a crazy story. Why did he put that in the book? Who bought a book to read? Who bought
because
Joe Buck's
that was
book anyhow?
that was known. I mean, we were there on opening day.
Well, I
and
remember
we're playing the
seeing
Braves,
the
and they said
hair.
Chipper's in the house, and one of our fellow Mets fans and friends said, well, yeah, you got that girl on the side. Like he knew about it. I didn't realize that. And then now the book tour, and it crystallizes.
If you remember, he had, I do remember reading about the salacious details of his situation. He knocked up a Hooters waitress.
Now, is that the one where the kid was named Shea?
Oh, that I don't know.
He's got a kid named Shea because of Shea Stadium, which is, the ultimate,
That is pretty funny, though.
That's how you troll some fan base right there.
It is funny, though. He did well, that's right. He loved playing you guys. See, your Mets hatred towards the Braves is different than my Pirates hatred towards the Braves. So I didn't think about it.
No, and it was all in his era. I mean, it was he or freaking Javi Lopez. I mean, or Andrew Jones, or
they were really good.
Galarraga for a little while.
They were really good.
They were really, really, really good, and it was frustrating. Yeah.
It was very frustrating. I watched us lose to them.
But he named one of his kids Shay, and I don't know if that was the Hooters waitress kid or the girlfriend's kid or whatever kid.
He was prolific, apparently.
Yeah.
He got around. He did admit, too, to body slamming a teammate in AAA over a parking space. But that wasn't he said it was part of 10 fights that year in Richmond because AAA, and this was Stugatz asked him, this is an interesting story. AAA, and I've always thought about this, is a pretty contentious place to be. You got veterans coming down from MLB that are either struggling or hurt and rehabbing, but desperate to get back up to the show. And these are usually grown-ass men who are on the brink of being removed from the game.
Sure.
They're living, right?
No more big paychecks.
Yes. So they're down there trying to get back as soon as possible. They're marrying, in essence, that group with a group of young, brash, cocky, talented kids who feel their destiny is to take that guy's spot. And so then they're on the field together, and he said there were fights all the time, that AAA is a dangerous place to be. You got 20-somethings and 30-something-year-olds who just inherently do not like one another and go to the ballpark thinking, I'm going to take your job, and that guy's going to the ballpark going, the hell you are? And it's just a bad deal to the point where you fight over parking spaces. I would love to be, I say it again, the late, great Lee Bowen did play-by-play for, I think it was Cleveland's affiliate. And his claim to fame, I remember talking to Lee about this, was he saw Manny Ramirez when he was like 18 years old coming up. And he said even then, he said, but I guess he did play-by-play for the team for a few years. And he has amazing stories about minor league baseball, that it is like a nasty place. Because you have, in essence, what would be considered trust fund babies, the teams that have given huge amounts of money. They got to get those guys up, and they give every opportunity to come up. So if they're struggling, they get sent back out there. And if you're a guy, like Mike Martin Jr., played minor league baseball, I think it was the Padres organization, but he wasn't considered a real good prospect at all. And so if he struggled, he didn't get a second and third chance. And also,
or if he hit 300 and the other kid was hitting 260,
the other kid's going to be out
3 years younger or whatever.
Right. And so he said it was, you build resentment real quickly. You're like, And the guys that don't have the big money, who are fighting to get it, will try to hurt the guys that have the big money. Like literally, if you're playing catcher and you're a big money guy, they try to take you out every chance they get. Coming around third, coming home, they could slide. They're not sliding. They're taking you out every time if you're one of those guys. So apparently minor league baseball has this other world that if you work within it, you see crazy stuff. I bet that would be fun. I mean, you don't make a lot of money, I don't think, it's a play-by-play announcer for minor league baseball.
Or even like a media handler guy.
Right. It's got to be bizarre.
Media relations director.
I think it would be fun to see the kind of wars that happen between the different factions. And you would never know. Is that over playing time? Is that over ego? Is that about a parking space? What is this about? Come back, wrap it up. Time to get some problems. We'll just do all baseball this hour, damn it.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy, on runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Join us for 8 days of nonstop tennis as the rising stars of the USTA Pro Circuit battle for a main draw wild card into the French Open. It's the 18th annual Tallahassee Tennis Challenger, April 22nd through the 29th at the Forest Meadows Tennis Complex. Proceeds benefit the Wagner Neurointensive Care Unit at Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Sponsored by the Florida Lottery, Tallahassee Democrat, the City of Tallahassee, Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, 850 Business Magazine, and Comcast.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. The NBA playoffs start tomorrow. The defending champs tip off the postseason with Game 1 at home. The Cavaliers hosting the Pacers. The game is here on ESPN Radio starting at 2 Eastern. Coverage on ABC at 3 Eastern. And then starting at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow, a playoff tripleheader on ESPN. The Raptors host the Bucks. That's followed by the Grizzlies and Spurs in San Antonio. Then the Clippers and Jazz in Los Angeles. Clemson defensive lineman Scott Pagano will transfer to Oregon as a grad student. He'll be available to play in the fall. And the NCAA today passes a package of rule changes for college football recruiting. The new rules take effect in August. Recruits will now be able to take college visits starting in April of their junior year in high school, and schools will be limited to 25 scholarships per year.
Canadian Mist Whiskey, a splash of cola, a little crushed ice. It's so simple, but there's nothing better. A solo cup cocktail. It's how friends share a drink. Canadian Mist Whiskey. Simply together. Drink responsibly. Canadian Mist blended Canadian whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
I love Libation Friday music at the end. It makes me smile thinking about the weekend.
This was a good ad, this particular bumper.
It was great.
It always makes me smile personally, and I hear from people around town, they say, I love to hear that music. It means my weekend has started.
Yeah. Mine too, guys. Mine too. Hey, you know who needs to not suck this weekend, but probably will? Our baseball team. On a serious note, before we get to probables, imagine if they get swept. Imagine if they lose. Well, hell, even if they lose 2 out of 3, they lose Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Monday, or whatever. I don't know why I'm giving them no chance on Saturday. But the point would be, let's just say they lose the series. And I think they probably will. I mean, it is hard to imagine. It is a realistic situation that they're in now that they might not make the postseason.
All right. This is how we start that weekend.
I'm not worried about all that because it's not a downer conversation. It's just an open, honest conversation about the idea that it still floors me because it's never happened.
You destroyed the only thing I love.
It's never happened since I moved here in 1990. 91. It hasn't happened since
even if you moved here
in 1990, it hadn't happened.
Hasn't happened since I was born.
It's just bizarre that that's where they're at because the season held so much promise. Like just the whole, we thought, okay, look, this team, all right, now this is more like what we're talking about here. We've got a pretty deep roster. If any of these young guys can really play, this group could win 50 games.
It's an uncomfortable thought for Florida State fans who are diehards in most of the big sports. In the athletic calendar of 16-17,
baseball's the worst.
It's the basketball program that exceeded expectations.
Oh,
it's the only one that did
by a lot.
But we hate them.
Oh no, we ought to hold them on high. Celebrate them forevermore, at least for this season. Not for the previous 4, though.
No, just this year. But you think about the way we came into the 2016 football season, the way we came into the 2017 baseball season.
Just like, well, so
and
that's
Leonard's
what we're
the
doing.
one that's saying, all right, yeah, but sure.
But y'all hate me.
I'm the worst coach of the bunch.
Yeah.
Sure.
By the way, when you say it out loud, Florida State is 21-14. That just sounds crazy. That's so damn sorry ass. They're 7-8 in the ACC, and they haven't even played the good teams. I mean, they have one good team, but not like the elite, like Louisville and Clemson, who they play this weekend. I'm starting to think it's not a big they may not. I'm starting to think it's like they're not going to make the postseason. I'm wondering if they'll make the I know you think I don't find this.
It's Declarative Friday, man.
I don't find this depressing. I think it's just a conversation. It is. It's just a conversation. Listen, it's bizarre, but when you say it out loud, when you talk about it a little bit more, you begin to realize like, oh, hey, this is a real thing. This is, they have had some seasons where I thought, ooh, this group could struggle. I mean, we've seen a couple of rosters where we thought, well, this is not going to be
and
pretty.
I can remember, losing in a super regional or in the CWS in 2012.
And saying, man, they overachieved by a mile.
Well, but then you see who they're purging, and you go, well, God, they don't have anybody coming in. How are they going to pull this off? And then they did. That's what's stunning about this team is, again, it's loaded. It's got talent, real talent, like the talent that they would have killed for when they were there in Omaha in 2012. But apparently they don't want that because they played together.
Well, there's just all kinds of it is hard to imagine that they're sub 500 in the ACC, and there's you start to wonder if they'll make the ACC tournament. It's just bizarre. It's just unbelievable. All right, let's do probables. That's enough of that.
It's time for how you say with the pitching probables.
Enjoy the series, folks.
We need the Wilburys in our life today.
Let me tell you something. They could win Saturday and Sunday, and Monday is just hey, whatever happens, happens. Although at this point, every win is much needed. I don't think I've ever said that about FSU baseball. Cardinals, Yankees, Michael Wacha. Masahiro Tanaka. That's a good game.
Yes, it is.
Baltimore Orioles, Toronto Blue Jays, Wade Miley, Aaron Sanchez. We got the Tigers and the Indians, Daryl Norris and Trevor Bauer. Brewers, Reds, Tommy Maloney. Just ridiculous. Scott Feldman is pitching for you. Yeah.
Does he look like Scott Feldman?
He does. He looks like Scott Feldman. I love Noah Syndergaard's team photo from this season. It makes me laugh. He's got a kind of a knowing smirk on his face. Like, I got this. I got you all.
I think he's right.
I'm going to hold it down.
If his arm stays in one piece, he's got it right.
If he stops throwing 57 sliders, you got a 145-mile-per-hour fastball. Stop throwing 2-2 sliders. Noah Syndergaard is going to pitch tonight for the Mets. Edison Volquez will go for the Marlins. Rays, Red Sox, Chris Archer, Rick Porcello. By the way, 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks Saturday versus the Jays while striking out 8 in 7 2/3 innings for his second quality start of the season this year for Chris Archer. Different-looking guy. It's not a great line, but it's certainly not that butt-sorry stuff he was doing a year ago.
Yeah, that stuff a year ago where you thought, man, he's really good in TV. Wait a minute, he might be in TV
soon,
real soon.
Jules Chassin goes for the Padres. Julio Teheran going for the Braves. White Sox, Twins, Dylan Covey. Don't know you, Dylan. My bad. Oh, the reason I don't know him is he's making his Major League debut tonight.
Well, there you go.
I don't feel so bad.
Well, there you go,
I'm
Dylan.
like, man, I didn't know anything about this guy.
Here you go, Dylan. If you shove, then we're going to learn your name.
Alberto Maya. He said with marbles in his mouth. He goes for the Twins. He just had his Major League debut last week.
Oh, my
Another
God.
guy I don't know.
Too many young kids here.
Angels, Royals, J.C. Ramirez. I can say your name. Danny Duffy. I can certainly say your name. Astros, A's, Dallas Keuchel, and Kendall Graveman. D-backs, Dodgers. There was a time where you'd say, well, this could be a fantastic game. I don't know as much anymore. Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw.
Well, I mean, the D-backs are playing well.
Yeah, and he allowed just 1 run over 6 2/3 against the Indians, so maybe I should prop it back up. Maybe it is.
Maybe it's time once again.
Yeah. Rangers, Mariners, Martin Perez, Felix Hernandez, and finally the Rockies and the Giants will conclude tonight if you're up late. Tyler Anderson and Johnny Cueto. I wanted to finish the guitar before I said, and that's a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Oh! Ooh. All right. What are you doing this weekend? Hockey?
Yeah, mostly hockey.
Hockey?
Well, and baseball. The crappy thing, though, is I'll be on the go this weekend, and I'm just around town.
Oh, I was going to say, what the hell?
Well, and, because the Marlins game it's Mets-Marlins, I can't get it on my phone on the MLB.
They block it out.
Yeah, come on,
like
man.
you're going to drive down to Miami, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You should have probably gone down to Miami. A weekend series against...
I've been traveling way too much. No.
Well, I would just tell you that...
they'll be down there another 7-8 times, right?
That's true. And you'll have to go because I think you like that stadium, especially... Although when you go, by the time you go, it won't be open air. It'll be too hot.
Can I still make a phone call if I go down there?
Yeah, you can still make a phone call.
Okay.
But when they do the open air, it's beautiful. It's really nice.
It looked gorgeous last night.
It is.
Yeah, that's
it's
what they did.
absolutely breathtaking.
Did you see that first home run that Cespedes hit?
Yeah. He's a little locked in.
Yeah.
He's a little locked in. He thanks the Phillies for his lock-indedness.
Well, I think so.
Yeah. He's
many do. In our lineup.
We're getting parting shots in at Matthew's team before we sign off. Hey, the Pirates have lost 4 straight, and that'll all get remedied because they have a series against the Cubs in Chicago.
Because that's how baseball works.
No, it won't get remedied at all. It'll mean that we lose 7 straight. I'm telling you, it was not just a feeling, premonition. This was going to be a bad year. I feel like the window slammed shut on our fingers. It is just, whoosh, we're done.
But it could be the Chad Cool show, man. Did you see that Dan Plesac loves him?
Well,
Cool.
He pitched really well.
There you go.
Yeah, we screwed him. Yeah, we gave up 3 in the 8th with 2 outs.
Well, you needed Melancone.
No. We needed Juan Nicasio not to suck. That's what we needed. That was, and I thought the bullpen would be the strength of the team this year.
Over under 1.5 wins for Florida State this weekend.
I'm going to go with under. I'm going to go with the under.
Counting Monday, even though we'll be on Monday.
No, I'm gonna say a firm under there. I would be surprised if they won the series. I would be very, very surprised. I think they'll win a game. We are still, a team that gets great support from the community, so it can be a tough place to play for kids. Carolina should have lost 2 of the games. They didn't, but we committed 11 errors in 2 games, the last 2. If you just don't commit 11 errors and kill yourself, I do think that you'll get one of these games. There is still time. All jokes aside, there is still time. If they win the series, okay, you start perking up a little bit and you think better about their opportunity. But if they get swept this weekend, there's a legitimate chance that we're not talking about the hypotheticals. We're saying they're not going anywhere. And I've never been in Tallahassee when there wasn't postseason baseball to be excited about, to go over and participate in and be a part of. It is one of the great traditions, and we've taken it for granted by and large because it happens every year. And, I didn't realize, for example, North Carolina just a year ago was but sorry. You just, when it's not your team and you don't pay attention, you just assume certain things like a program like that.
Sure, Florida a few years back.
Right, yeah. I mean, but they're most every, save for Miami, and they had one year that was real close that they didn't. Most every program has years where they just don't make it. They just have a bad year, whatever, injuries, guys don't perform well, hiccups along the way. You lose every one-run game you play, and you don't make it. We never have. We've always made it. We've usually made it very, very comfortably. It's never even a conversation. It's not even an afterthought. That's why we're having a hard time wrapping our mind around this idea right now, because we've never, ever thought it, ever.
No, if we're talking about Florida State baseball this time of year, it's ho-hum stuff. It's how do they look, for the postseason? Are these little pieces that need to come together? Are they coming together? But it's not about the record. It's not about the foundational things. That's what this discussion has been about. And that's weird. But, at some point there were going to be tougher discussions. Whether or not it was about, is it time? And certainly that's something that happens at bars across Tallahassee and has for the last 15 years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, the more serious discussions were coming. I just didn't know that they would be this dire. Because I think it's fair to say that. It's not overhyping. It's not overstating.
That's what I mean.
This is a dire circumstance.
Well,
especially by the curve that this program is used to succeeding at.
The standard set is almost impossibly high, and they've lived up to it almost every year. And that kind of consistency is not found anywhere else in the country. And now we're seeing what that feels like when teams don't go or are in jeopardy of not going. But I think it's part of a bigger conversation we're not going to have right now because we're signing off. But I think that what makes you feel a little, helpless, kind of in limbo, is that, let's just say, worst case scenario, they don't make it. Okay, well, it happens, right? You're not going to fire the guy. He's gone every year he's ever been here. They've made the postseason, so the first time he isn't when you let him go. But it certainly is an indicator that things aren't what they used to be, and there are problems that are rising, and he's got another year on that contract. And so you go into next season feeling awfully insecure.
Yeah, you're right. It is a bigger topic. Boy, we could go till 8 talking about this one.
Yeah, we could. We could stay up all night. Good work out of you, sir. Great work out of you, Matthew. Man, you could kick an ass over there directing, buddy. He didn't even give the... Okay, there's the nod. It's like, did he hear me?
He saw you.
That's true. I don't know. Sometimes he's playing video games. I don't know if he's paying attention.
He's probably checking out the new Star Wars trailer.
That came out today?
It did.
Is it any good?
It's vague.
Oh.
I think they got some work to do still.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Be nice to one another. Have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you on Monday.